Hello and welcome to the Nerds at Large 2022 Game of the Year Spectacular. I'm one of your hosts, Darby Hallman,
I'm Jeff Mayo.
and we are joined by two wonderful friends, Jacob Hamill and William Outlaw. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
Great. Going great. Here to talk about some video games.
Heck yeah, just a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Elden Ring and Friends, it's kind of like we like to call it.
I'd say some more than others, but we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
It's been a this is gonna be an interesting one. I am not pulling my weight this year. I will just go ahead and say right from the very beginning, Jeff, as always, is a model citizen, and he is going to be pulling the weight. And I honestly don't know the other two guys. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be below one or both of you as far as what I've played, but we will see. But
We'll see.
quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a tight list. I'll put it that way.
When I know
All
I
about both, baby.
do what?
It's all about both.
I'll tell you this: I played God of War and Elden Ring. Okay.
I mean, honestly, that's enough.
that's about where I'm at.
Well, yeah, it's like I want to say it's like, I didn't play a lot of games this year, or didn't spend a lot of time playing games, which is true to a degree. But then also, I put 200 hours into one game, so that's still quite a bit. That's just how it breaks sometimes.
I mean, that's been me the last few years, is a lot of just like ongoing games or whatever. And then every now and then something will break through the ice and get me to actually sink my teeth into it, which was a very surprising one this year.
Yeah.
For everyone, there was one of them. But
I'm just
Jeff,
always like 3 to 4 years behind on everything. So lots of not retro games to talk about, but PS4 games.
that's the way more fiscally responsible way to be. Well, you're the smartest one here.
Maybe
Well,
so.
you said that
Maybe
like
so.
they're PS5 games.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, Jeffrey, how is this going to work?
Okay, the way we're gonna do this, way we want to do it past years, go down, got a list of categories. If you listen to our previous year's interviews, pretty much the same, at least as the last couple of years. The normal ones: favorite character, cast, story, soundtrack, etc. Then, I guess in whatever way each individual likes to do it.
It's going to
Talk
be
about
loose.
our rankings or whatever general games that we played this year, game of the year, all that
Just
stuff.
gonna vibe,
Yeah.
We're just gonna vibe, and maybe we won't have answers for every single one of these categories.
Yeah.
It's not there's no police here. It's fine.
Oh, and there's a special halftime thing that there is a chance someone here remembers, but probably not.
Whoa. Okay.
We'll see when we get there.
Interesting. Also, both of you gentlemen, if we ever just break out, like we sound like we're a mile away at some point, let me know, because the mics have been sometimes having issues. And I know how to fix it, but just let me know.
Oh, you got it.
Cool. Well, Jeff, I guess we're gonna start in the categories, and then I guess later on we'll just like generally talk about some games. I'll be able to actually talk more then. But
All right, starting with favorite character. What characters, you talk about multiple, talk about runners up and all that kind of stuff. Really, stood out to you this year and all that.
why don't you start us off, Jeff?
Alrighty, let me get this thing. Let's do it this way. Alrighty, for me, got a couple from all these. I got at least a couple runners up, and then my winner. So runners up, I have Kratos from God of War. Kratos. I think he was also. I can't remember.
You know him.
That guy.
You love him.
I can't remember. I think I looked back at my 2018 one. I think he won my favorite character in our 2018 one for God of War.
Impossible. Red Dead Redemption came out.
Oh wait,
that
yeah,
year.
that's right.
Yeah,
yeah.
impossible.
Oh no, you're
Impossible.
right. Yeah. Great part. He was in the runners up though.
Yes.
He's still here again. Great character. Love what they did with him. I guess also, I'll say for general audience and for y'all, spoilers can be on the table. You're also welcome to make sure you double check at least the panelists here are cool with spoilers from said game.
Yeah.
And we'll try to let people know ahead of time if we're going to spoilers for games, and so they can skip ahead a little bit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's Kratos continuing his growth, his bond with Atreus, all that good stuff. Continue to be good stuff. I have Uni from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Trouble picking like one character from this cast. I think this is overall the strongest like cast from a Xenoblade game.
Is this the
wing
the
girl?
wing
Yeah,
girl?
she's very sassy and very British, and I love her. She has the best lines. I am Mizuki from AI 2. She was a side character in the first game, but she was the main protagonist in this game, and she's just a badass little Japanese high school girl with super strength, who's also very sassy and fun.
Absolutely, hell yeah.
And my favorite character for 2022 is the narrator from the Stanley Parable.
Ah, fair.
Okay, fun.
Yeah,
Wasn't expecting that.
I had played.
Unexpected choice.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that one.
I've not played Stanley Parable before playing Ultra Deluxe this year, so that's why I'm counting it towards everything. But obviously he stands out because for Stanley Parable, he's pretty much the game. Just his narration going through it. He's the only person you hear and everything. It just kind of helps or not helps guide you throughout whatever Stanley's supposed to be doing, all that kind of stuff. And especially since it is the only voice you hear. Whoever voiced him did a really good job and all that. And while obviously to have a traditional character arc, still very enjoyable from beginning to end, especially with the new content for Ultra Deluxe.
Yeah, awesome. I totally forgot that the deluxe edition came out this year. But I played the original Stanley Parable, and that was or the first whatever, the base version, and I really enjoyed that. So I think Stanley Parable was a really fun game. So I should definitely check out the deluxe edition.
They had so much. Like they make it clear like what's the new stuff, and
right.
It's
especially
like at least double the content.
Well, especially like when the Stanley Parable first came out, which I think was like in 2013. Yeah. It's definitely riffing on video games as a genre and popular games at the time. I guess light spoilers for the Stanley Parable, which is a 10-year-old game at this point, or just about. There's a bit where it kind of like parodies Minecraft. Like it's like you get dropped into like a Minecraft world for a hot minute. And I'm very curious to see this deluxe edition, which is coming out, a decade after the original. Like, what does that bring to the table? How is that kind of, I guess, satirizing popular games and like what popular trends and like indie games and PC games? And I'm very curious to see what that's all about, because I've totally like ignored any spoilers for the Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, you remind me. I actually did play. I haven't actually touched any of the deluxe content, but I basically played the base game version or whatever, which I need to get to the deluxe. I'm playing it with my sister, so I haven't really got a lot of chances. But I agree with everything. It's as far as the narrator is like his delivery of everything is just spot on. It's just like, I don't know, it's a very, very funny game.
Yep.
Very good. So a lot of mine are going to be old characters because I didn't play very many new games. So that's just how it's going to be here. But I did this year play Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah,
from before or whatever. And honestly, all the characters in there are very good. It's kind of hard to pick one exactly. I'm kind of split between like Peter is obviously like a very, very great character and it's all around him or whatever. I kind of want to pick Drax.
That's who I picked last year, I think.
Yeah, I think I love Drax in the movie, but then like and this is the case for like pretty much the entire cast. I like him even more in the game. I think the humor like hits really, really well, but also it's like another one of those where it's like, yeah, he's just funny guy who says a bunch of silly things, and then it's like, oh wait, you learn about like his backstory more. I'm like, oh, this is like depressing. It's like it's just in general the character. I have a lot of problems with that game, but overall like the characters. I haven't like loved the cast in the video game that much in a while.
I know you felt the same way a lot of people did. There are problems with the game, but the cast and general story are not one of them.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely love them. Runner up Sylvando from Dragon
Of
Quest XI.
course, of course.
Absolutely,
Of
just
course.
top tier best boy. Let's
Of
go.
course.
You know?
Can't be beat.
Cannot. So that's my two mentions there.
Guardians of the Galaxy was so fun, and they did a great job of not copying the MCU characters, but having just enough of their qualities in there that they didn't seem like foreign characters to you. So yeah, I love that game.
It's very fun. Very fun. Do you have anything for character, Will, or are we moving on?
Sure. Yeah, I might follow your lead and go with an older game, a really old game actually, because over the summer I fell in love with Liara T'Soni again from Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I think. Yeah.
You played a whole trilogy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a significant portion of my gaming time.
Understandable.
Fair.
So I had played 2 before 3 came out, and then played 3 when it came out, but I had never played 1. So I decided to play the whole thing through, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. But Liara, I forgot how much I liked her as a character, and seeing a little bit of growth there from being like someone who doesn't really believe in herself at all in Mass Effect 1 to becoming, spoilers, the Shadow Broker, and someone who's like basically all powerful. So yeah, it was really neat being in that universe again. And then for a runner up, I will do a game for this year, and I'll say favorite characterization instead of character, because I really like how they treated Sindri in God of War, especially in the end, and how I'm trying not to go into spoilers for this one, but how they treated it realistically, and that there wasn't as much of a redemptive cycle, I guess, to his arc as you would think, or maybe not redemptive is the right word, but no closure, I guess, which was interesting. I liked it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, what they did with the end too.
Hell yeah. Will, what's the hype level or confidence level in the new Mass Effect, whatever that's gonna happen at some point?
I'd say it's pretty low. If there were more, even if like there weren't many gameplay designers that were still there, if they still had their writers, then I'd be like, okay, like show me what you got. But it seems like literally everyone's gone from the studio that had anything to do with it. So, I mean, I'm interested, but Andromeda I didn't like. So,
bummer. He's a realist.
Yeah,
But bummer.
Yeah.
Maybe Dragon Age will come out first and be good and can give people hope.
Maybe. I'd love that. Come on, BioWare.
Maybe. All right.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the Mass Effect trilogy, because I played a little bit of the first game this past year with the Legendary Edition or whatever it's called. I played 1, 2, and 3 like multiple times back when those games were coming out. So I do know the Mass Effect series like the back of my hand. And something that I thought was really interesting going back and revisiting Mass Effect 1 is how well I think that game honestly holds up. I mean, yeah, there are some things that are very like dated game design, I guess you could say. And obviously, like, when I reflect on the Mass Effect series, there's definitely parts to it that have not really aged the best, that are a little, they were definitely coming from a time when I feel like triple A games are kind of trying to grow and embrace this kind of like quote unquote like serious storytelling, serious games as serious narratives kind of direction, for better or for worse. But one thing that that really strikes me about Mass Effect 1 is just the way that you can interact with this whole universe of characters and civilizations and people, and kind of it's not afraid to really just dump you into the deep end and kind of like have you try and figure out what are the politics at play here, where do various factions and people stand in regards to I guess like current events in that universe. And I think it's something that's really endearing about Mass Effect, and something that I feel like a lot of games I feel like a lot of games now kind of like onboard you a lot to that kind of dense world building, whereas Mass Effect, you're 3 hours in and you're not doing any like action gameplay, but you're talking to people and really figuring out like where does Shepard stand in this world. And I think that's really something that's commendable about that series that holds up.
Absolutely. I can't remember a game that I've played that does politics as well as Mass Effect, as silly as that sounds, but just all the intra-species relationships is one of my favorite parts. So I hear that.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like I get caught these days between like I simultaneously feel like I don't have enough time for something that's like really slow and like slowly builds you into something, or I'm gonna bounce off of it. But then also some of my favorite things, like Red Dead Redemption, is a good example of like when I do get sucked in, then that's like the thing I want. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, totally. It's I think when people look back on the map, I mean, 3 has its problems for obvious reasons, and I think people kind of downplay 1 for a lot of reasons too, especially because of how clunky it can be. I mean, the Legendary Edition kind of tries to fix that a little bit, but I still think 1 is like really, really shines in like the world building just right off the bat, and I mean that continues for the rest of the series, obviously.
Awesome. I will say the gap between, I know we can get off Mass Effect, but the gap between 1 and 2 was incredible. Like going straight from 1 into 2. I can't remember a game that has had that big of a leap in like almost every circumstance or every quality. I love 2.
Yeah, 2's still my favorite, but
Gotta say, the trilogy is on Game Pass, so part of me has been tempted. It's like, when will I have time to do that? I have not.
Oh man, it's good stuff.
Long stuff.
It is that too. Although not as long as you would think. Like, truthfully.
Yeah, truly. Like the first one's like really tight. It's like a tight 25 hours.
I would say all 3 of them combined, you could probably finish in like 70 hours. It's not like insane.
So that's half of Xenoblade.
I was about to say that's less than 1 Xenoblade. So.
Right. And that's like, I mean, I platinumed all 3 of them too, by the way. Damn. And I probably did that in about 80-ish hours, so it's not that bad.
Damn. Did you have to replay them to like platinum them?
That's the only reason I platinumed.
Thank God.
The Legendary Edition does away with the replaying, or else I wouldn't have done it.
I was about to say 6 playthroughs or something. No, thank you.
No.
No, thank you. Jacob, did you tell your character?
Oh, not yet.
Okay. I realized when I was like, all right, Will, you're the last one. I was like, wait a minute. No, Jacob's been talking, but he hadn't said his character.
Yeah, I've been talking about a game that's like not on any of my lists.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Nonetheless.
No, all good.
But that was a good segue because for my favorite runner-up character, also speaking of space, I guess they're kind of 2 characters together, but these 2 characters is Lim and Mina from Citizen Sleeper.
I need to play more of that.
Yeah, which is a really excellent game about, I mean, the pitch is that you are kind of this synthetic person. Think of like a replicant almost from like Blade Runner. Basically, you escape the corporation that created you, and you find yourself on this space station, and in the process of trying to make a home for yourself and find a way to survive, you meet various characters throughout your kind of story. And one of these, or 2 of these characters, is Lim and Mina. They kind of go together in their plot. But Lim is like a shipbuilder. He's like a welder or whatever, and Mina is his daughter. And my character for Citizen Sleeper, they were like an engineer, like they were kind of like a gearhead. And so a lot of my time was spent kind of interacting with like Lim and Mina and like getting really engrossed in their story. And eventually kind of, when you get to the end of their plot line, you kind of have an option to choose, which I'm not going to spoil because I know Darby's in the middle of playing this game as well. But the both options, I think, for how you want to resolve their storyline were really impactful and like a really great kind of almost conclusion to the story. I think one thing that I'll get more into as I talk about Citizen Sleeper is that there's not really like you can keep going with the game even after you kind of hit a quote unquote ending, because like life doesn't just end for your character. But the conclusion that I got out of the end of Lem and Mina's plot line was one of my favorites from that game. But they're my runner-up. My actual favorite character from this year is the character Catherine from Norco. Norco is another kind of point-and-click adventure game. And what's interesting about that is that it's set in like an alternative future Louisiana. Norco is actually a real town near New Orleans where the Shell refinery is. And the story is told from the perspective of an individual named Kay, who is returning to Norco after the death of her mother to kind of make peace with that fact, and to basically when Kay returns home, she realizes that her brother is also missing. And so there's kind of like this family mystery, this family drama about Kay trying to reconnect the people that she used to know before she left town, and also find her brother, who was not necessarily like a troubled person, I guess you would say. But Catherine is Kay's deceased mother. And I feel like in most games like this, where it's a character dealing with the death of their parent, you kind of understand that parent through the eyes and the perspective of their child, which does happen in this game. But something that I did not expect is that you also get to play as Catherine in this game. So you get to experience the story of Catherine before she died from cancer and the events kind of leading up to her death, and really kind of see kind of how Catherine stands apart as like, as a woman, as a person, apart from Kay's memory of her and her impact and the impact that she had on Kay. And so I think Norco does a really good job of playing with family bonds and the way the way family members can like influence each other and set each other down different paths, and then also how that all ties together to the setting as well. But I think it's really unique and interesting to play a game from the perspective of both the mother and the daughter.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a great game. Norco's awesome.
It sounds very sad, but it sounds
very
compelling.
Norco's a downer, but it's great. It's a good one.
What gameplay style is Citizen Sleeper?
That is a I would say a role-playing adventure game. So you basically have skills, and as you do different actions, you kind of are rolling dice, similar to Disco Elysium and other games where you have depending on like the dice roll, you have a chance to have a really good outcome for this action, or a really bad outcome, or a neutral action.
It's all text based and everything, so I mean it's like kind of visual novel-y or whatever. But I will say, like, one of the things immediately from it is like I like those type of games, but a lot of times it's like I'm not in the right headspace. It's like I don't feel like it can just get overwhelming with just start reading everything. I just don't want to do that right now. I would say the Citizen Sleeper has definitely been like the easiest of those to play no matter my mood, just because like I feel like it's pretty snappy. It's like you're like not that far from the next kind of interesting choice at all times, basically. It's like interesting choice, a little bit of story build up, another very interesting choice, a little bit of build up. It's more immediately rewarding to play sometimes than some other similar type of games, to me at least. Personally.
Yeah, we could talk more about Citizen Sleeper's gameplay, I guess, in the gameplay section, because it's really the design of that game, I think, is really phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on to the cast. All right. So I'll go. Couple runners up I have. Let's see here. Give a shout out to Digimon Survive.
Mm.
That game finally fucking came out.
Some traumatized kids and
Yeah, traumatized kids. What I love about this game is, I'll talk a little more about it later, is it is the closest Digimon game that I played to actually feeling like the original Digimon Adventures game, but they didn't completely kidify it, which, I understand why they did it for the animes and that kind of stuff, but they actually go through the fact that these are kids in this hostile world where these monsters are trying to kill/eat them, and they get depressed and go crazy and all that kind of stuff. And overall, I think it's done well. Obviously, it's not the best writing in the world, but compared to a lot of these games, especially from similar franchises, I think it's done really well. And while at the beginning you kind of get the idea of where the kids are as far as their classic Digimon kind of roles, but as you play through the story, you see there's more to them and all that kind of stuff, especially with the branching paths and all that kind of stuff. I only did one of them. I want to go back to the other ones to learn about the other kids, but have to do that some other time. Got God of War on here. I don't think that's a surprise. God of War cast is fantastic. The new additions to the cast, or the ones that get more delved into from 2018, are really good, well done. Actually, Kratos and Atreus are great. Seeing how Atreus has grown in between the two and how he continues to grow across, the game is really well done. And my favorite cast for this year is the Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Love the Xenoblade games, but this is by far and away the best cast out of them. Not just from like I mentioned when I was talking about Uni, the individual party, but all the surrounding characters. Because you got your 6 characters under your party the whole time, but you got about 24 characters that you can have as a 7th member in your party, and just they all have their storylines and all that kind of stuff, and seeing how they interact with each other in this world where they're two sides that literally they're just born to fight each other is really interesting, and see how they survive and all that. Yeah. I was wanting to shout out to Pokemon Scarlet, just not necessarily for the characterizations, which I think are fine, especially for a Pokemon game, but banger designs.
Damn. Oh yeah, sorry. Someone should have mentioned as a shout out runner up character Nimona from Pokemon, because she's great. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just retroactively.
And AI rabbits are also great, of course.
Hell yeah. Well, I won't go. My favorite cast is going to be Guardians from the games that I played this year, which we already kind of discussed that a lot. Just the entire it was a true ensemble piece where every single part of the ensemble was funny and emotionally poignant, and it was just the story wise, it was one of my favorite ones of those kind of AAA type of stories where it was just really, really well done. Even when the story itself was pretty cool and everything, but it was mostly that cast. It was mostly spending. It was the amount of time you spent with the characters. So you got the sheer amount of dialogue that's in that game is is overwhelming, but it's very, very, very well written. Very well written. But my runner up, and it's a weird one. Usually with cast, it's your party that you're going with, people that are talking to you, doing all this stuff or whatever. I'm gonna say Elden Ring, but not for the characters you talk to or whatever. Honestly, I mean, some of them are interesting, the lore is interesting, whatever, but they didn't stick with me that much. It's more just the cast of enemy designs and everything, and the bosses and everything. It's those are the things that stick with me, and some of those moments of just I mean, I just think of Radon and just how that fight unfolds or whatever. You're learning about him or whatever, and then all of a sudden you see this giant guy on a tiny horse, and then he summons meteors from the sky.
Easiest fight in the game too.
Fuck. And Renala with all of her weird, just every single character is just one ups each other in the design, just how striking they are. Obviously, what's the snake guy's name? He's probably my favorite
Riker.
design.
Yeah,
Riker.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I just I don't think that can ever that just has to be. I mean, that whole cast of people, of monsters, I will just never forget. So, yeah, easily.
I mean, the love story between Leonard and Radon is just like one for the ages. Truly, did you catch on the fact that like Radon learned goddamn magic because he loved his horse and wanted to keep riding him?
Yes.
It's
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah. I didn't know that
This
was the
man
name of the
learned how to-
horse, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. This man learned this like fearsome general where like badasses gathered to hold like a tournament in his honor. Learned how to manipulate gravity because he loved his scrawny horse so much. It's so good. And
my favorite thing about it is like leading up to Elden Ring, they were showing like trailers and clips and stuff. You thought like, oh yeah, so Melania, whatever, is the like good guy, and Radon is like the evil, big monster or whatever. And you learn it's like, no, Radon's like a pretty chill dude. He's like, he loves his horse. He's trying to save. Like, he tried to like, save the whole planet by like keeping like he's using magic or something to like keep
stars.
The stars, like from crashing down or whatever. It's like from everything I've seen, like Radon's actually pretty chill, and Melania is just Melania.
True.
I thought you were gonna say your favorite supporting cast was other players in Elden Ring leaving you messages. I thought that's where you were going.
I mean, that is also a very fair direction to go. They also Tri-Finger Butthole really helped me out tremendously.
The whole dog,
especially the 1000th time.
But yeah, I mean that's mostly it. It's just this is one of the many places Elden Ring is going to show up for me, but super duper memorable cast of freakos. All right, who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go third. Yeah, I think mine's just gonna be God of War. I couldn't get enough of the characters anyway that were in the first game, or the reboot. So seeing them all come back, of course, was exciting on its own. But I really genuinely did love getting to know Tyr, and I love how they made him pacifist. Really, really interesting characterization there. But I don't know. I'm pretty into Norse mythology. I'm not crazy, but I like reading about it. So I knew a decent amount of backstory. So it was really cool seeing how they were fitting into the myths that we knew to be true. Really liked Angerboda and the role that she had with Atreus. Yeah, there. I don't think there was a character that I disliked actually, that I wasn't supposed to dislike. So yeah.
All right. So my runner-up favorite cast is the cast from Pentiment, which I have not finished Pentiment, so I'm gonna withhold saying too much about that. But just that there's a lot of great characters in that where and it's very fascinating to kind of see just the way that this game is set in 16th century Germany, and it's just very interesting to see the ways that the social relations and the interactions and social status between different members of this kind of backwater community in the 16th century. But my favorite cast is Citizen Sleeper, which again, Lem and Mina just being my favorite out of the bunch. What's great about this is about the cast from Citizen Sleeper is that you get to interact with these characters who kind of represent different factions on this, basically a Halo, and kind of understand like the way that this kind of community and these factions kind of work together or work against each other, and how basically there are different visions of what it means to actually build a community and to exist in this place that's kind of like on the fringes of the world, of the universe. And again, with Citizen Sleeper, you are a lot. It's like I said, it's you use die to kind of take actions, and you're allotted like a certain number of die in a day. And so you're like, well, I want this interaction with this one person to go really well. So I'm going to use like my number 6 die on this one, because that's a guaranteed positive outcome. And whereas some others, some lower die, you know, like a 1 or a 2, it's like, well, I kind of have a pretty high chance of getting like a negative interaction. So you're kind of picking and choosing which characters interact with which actions to take, and you know, and which plot lines you really want to see succeed. And I think the game does a really good job of making you want to explore around, meet new characters, and kind of have, you know, they kind of, each character interaction kind of really changes your perspective on either who they represent or who they work for, or like just basically what it means to exist in this world. And I think that's I think all the characters in Citizen Sleeper are really great.
It's definitely one of my favorite, like, I don't know, gameplay choices for like a narrative, for, you know, a narrative focused game like this, where it adds so much weight and stakes to every one of your choices because of what Jacob said, how it's like, you know, it's like everything has a chance of going wrong. So it's like, you know, like you basically like have a hierarchy of like, okay, well, this has to go right, so I'm giving this the top one, and it's like I can afford this one to go wrong, so I'm like, it's just it sets you a whole dinner plate of like of things or whatever, and you have to like pick and choose which ones you actually care about, and it's very cool. I think I'm gonna really enjoy that game if I just need to like make myself sit down and do it.
Yeah, it's really great. Also, there's a character named Fang who Fang's my boy, but also God, he really really pulled me along for a while there, but my boy came through. So
bang.
but yeah.
Alrighty. Favorite settings / worlds, whatever, however you want to interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, runners up. Let's see. Obviously, 9 Realms, God of War, Ragnarok. You know, same reasons as first one. Beautiful environments, all these different ones, you know, good fun times.
Was Asgard cool?
Yeah.
That wasn't emphatic enough.
Not as explorable as a lot of the other ones. It's, you're kind of more, I guess, slight spoilers. Maybe there is more of a straight path compared to a lot of the other ones. The stuff you were doing there was cool.
Yeah, I feel like the leading up to the wall and the wall itself were super cool. But yeah, I feel like the excitement kind of went downhill pretty quickly after you climbed the wall. It's like, oh, all right.
History from Pokemon, Legends Arceus. Just going back to the old-timey stuff, and stuff was kind of fun. And just exploring that world. Great time. Finding all the, you know, looking around, even though it's like not much to the world. Obviously, the graphics weren't the best, all that kind of stuff. But just the joy of exploring that world and finding Pokemon all over the places.
Big Bidoofs.
Big Bidoofs. Which is why I was debating on this over Paldea, the Scarlet Violet reason. But
yeah, that's what I thought you were saying at first, yeah.
Yeah, but I think this one is, Arceus is just more fun to actually explore. Obviously, Paldea like looks better and probably has more variation, but more fun exploring that one. The settlement of the Straw Hat Pirates from Cult of the Lamb.
Okay, I was about to say, is this One Piece Odyssey? I was like, Jeff, no, it's not a 2022 game.
Nope, you can name your cult, and I said fucking name the Straw Hat Pirates. Let's go. Just, you know, a jolly little cult village. I was a good cult leader. Not too many sacrifices. I sacrificed the old people, but better that than
their poop.
Yeah. Better that than a bunch of graves taking up the place, you know? And I made sure my cult members were very happy about sacrifices.
The old people had it coming. Jeff Maya.
Yep. Aeonios from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that was, you know, not really a spoiler because they put it in marketing. It's a combination of the worlds from the first 2 games and just exploring. Xenoblade worlds are just great in general. But seeing the combination of both and just seeing the motifs from both games and all that kind of stuff and see how they blended them together and everything was a treat to see. And the game has no business looking at, you know, it's obviously not the best looking compared to some of these best looking games, but business looking good it does on the Switch and run as well as it does with that world. And I imagine this is going to be most people's like top one outrunner, but the Lands Between from Elden Ring, my top one. I mean, come on.
Same.
Yeah.
Big same.
Just talking about like other ones are just exploring that world. That's one of the games where the world, I mean, obviously the combat's a big thing. The world is the game. That's what separates Elden Ring from the other FromSoft games. Exploring that world, finding enemies, finding anything. It's a treat.
And just how different every single section is. You know, you go
Yeah.
from Limgrave to Caelid, and it's like you've entered hell. Congratulations.
And just, I know we all had this moment where we're like, yeah, in the beginning of Limgrave, you see the map, it's like, oh, that's a pretty big map. And then you expand, it's like, oh, no, wait, that was only like a quarter of the map, if that.
Yeah, it might be a spoilers to something else I'll talk about later, but yeah, that was like a genius moment for them to like keep the map shrunk, and there's black outside of it, but you can't scroll past it. And like I think we said at some point, I was like, yeah, you know, this is probably the whole map here, like this section up here, that's probably the whole map. You know, that's good, that's a pretty good map or whatever. And then you get a little bit past it, it's like, oh shit, okay.
Well,
no, and then it expands again, and then like,
Well, I'm sure it
again, and
happened.
I'm
Like
what
to say exactly, you know, what I'm talking about. Very early in the game, I forget what the swamp's called, but you find that treasure chest that teleports you like very early in the game.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people found that, and you're like, oh man, that teleported me way far at the edge of the map. That's crazy. And again, it's like, oh, you sweet summer child.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that moment is actually like my runner-up for best moment.
Oh, that is
getting,
my best moment.
yeah, it's getting whisked to Caelid when you're like hours and hours and hours before like you have any right to be there, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what fresh hell did I like wander into? And you kind of like, I just remember it so clearly, like coming out of that cave and you're on some sort of hell beach, and there's like those giant like spore, like barnacle looking things in the distance just shooting out gas. And then I see some horrible like skeleton thing in the distance. I'm like, oh dear God, what the fuck am I doing?
And those weird
here?
shrimp bug dudes with the spears.
Yes, yeah.
And I love that
great moment.
You get teleported there and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. And then you try to go teleport out and it won't let you. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. And then and like the Caelid music kicks in. You're just like, Jesus Christ, get me out of here. It's so good. It's one of my favorite moments.
Incredible.
Just seared into my brain.
Well, and just talking about this setting, I mean, we're on setting or whatever, and it's definitely my number one, obviously, not a question about it. There's actually a game that outdid Breath of the Wild for me as far as like I'm just gonna wander a direction in this world and something cool is gonna happen. I mean, that's what Breath of the Wild, that's why it's one of my like top 3 games of all time or whatever. And this is better. I mean, this has an open world that's even more engaging and like more diverse as you go across it. And it was just like, it was unreal. You just like start walking in some direction and then like some dragon's gonna come down and land on you, or you're gonna have some invisible person, you just see their footsteps or something, and then they like bash into you. You're like, what the fuck is happening? Like the way they had to design that world so you could walk in any direction at any time and anyone could experience anything in any order, but it still had to all like add to be a fun world, a compelling whole. It's like, it's just that world is just so well designed and like 3 times the size that it needed to be, but I'm so happy. This is about it.
It wasn't long after I saw a picture of the full map where I was like, I'm out. Like, this is super fun, but I can't
But
do
it's
anymore.
so good.
I know. I want to get back to it. I mean, it's funny because I spent probably, I think the counter was at like 35 hours, and I was nowhere close to being where I needed to be at that point. I was, where was I? Like in the middle of Wyerny of the Lakes or something, like not far at all. So,
Hey,
Yeah,
no rush.
Yeah, I scraped that world. Like I left no stone in the goddamn Lands Between unturned. Like it, which is like I never do that in open world games. I cannot tell you the last time I remember doing that. When that, I think it just speaks to just how well designed the world of Elden Ring is. That I want to like explore every goddamn dungeon and like in every weird thing and just see what's up with that. So.
or just you go into an acid lake that kills you almost immediately, but if you sprint to the end of it and chug a bunch of health potions all along the way, you could just barely get to a really cool weapon out there. It's like all that kind of stuff. Even if it was a weapon I was never going to use, I was like, I don't know, that was still just cool. I just love how
finding a random elevator. It's like, wait, there's a whole landmass under.
Oh god!
Oh yeah,
that's another one. That's another one that I think, because we would all play Elden Ring. I mean, this is gonna be eating into later on thing, just why Elden Ring is amazing. But there was a moment we would all be on Discord call together playing it at the same time, and like somehow I was watching Alex or he was watching me or something. He had helped me with a boss fight, and then Alex was like, there's just a coffin at the back here, and it's saying I can press X to get in the coffin. I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm going to do it. And he's like, I'm going down a waterfall. What the fuck is happening? And then, like, he's like, you just do this. And then suddenly, yeah, it's like not only is the world is this big, there's an underworld for the entire, like almost the entire thing. I'm like,
the Z-axis is incredible. You're just like, that's not what I expected.
And it's funny because it felt like that elevator ride or whatever was like 20 minutes too. You're just like, how is it still going?
You're right, yeah. And then like you kind of like push past that little zone, and you get into like Knockon or Noxtel, and just like it's just like the cosmos is just like in this cavern, and like all right. It's enormous.
And I love that they let you from there. You can see so many areas that you aren't going to go to for another like 40 hours or something. And you can see that boss fight guy, his temple thing out in the distance. And at the time, I probably just thought that was set dressing. I was like, that's just like a nice thing to look at in the distance. I'm never going to go there. And then 50 hours of gameplay later, I'm like, oh. I love that shit so much.
That was specifically my number one. Is it Sofria River? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Or I guess there's 3 different ones, but I discovered that I apparently have a type for settings because I love Sofria River, and also was it the Heart of the World in God of War or whatever, where the stars are underneath again. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's what I'm into. Stars underneath the earth. I love it.
Well, I will say my runner up that I definitely want to also give some talk to is Pokemon Scarlet. Because it was such a surprise that I got into this game, and the big part of what carried me through all the way to the end of this game was just the world was just addicting. It was just addicting to go to different parts of the world, and how vertical it was, and how everything is I just never thought it would be that in depth or that engaging, and that there's just so many nooks and crannies to go, and just go into a new area, there being a bunch of, especially since I don't know most of these Pokemon, so I'd just be like, who the hell is that? Look at that weirdo. It's that was just endlessly enjoyable to just traverse the world, and I think without having random encounters where I could just do it at my own pace, the freedom that it gives you, and just how the open world design is amazing. They just need to get some budget, but they know how to design an open world because it was very cool.
You need to play Arceus. Maybe it's time to cool down so you don't get worn out of it, but
for sure
at some point.
Yeah, but engrossing, very very well designed open world that I love so much. Okay. Moving on to, I don't know, we probably already spoiled everyone's either winner or runner up, but
well, my winner is actually Love the Lands Between, but I also, my favorite setting is Norco and New Orleans from the game Norco, which it's very interesting because this game is set, it's like an alternative future, but not so alternative to where it's there's robots and other weird shit going on, but
today,
still, there's a robot with a galaxy for a face, and I'm like, all right, but it's
just like New Orleans,
really, exactly. But just the way that this game, I mean, it's obviously very much pulling from reality, from these real places, and just kind of just amping up the, I guess, the systemic issues that plague these places in real life just slightly, to where this is a world that is different from our own but very believable, like a lot of good science fiction. and it just the way that the characters and the imagery and everything interacts to really make this sense of place and to really convey how what is called the carcinogen corridor in Louisiana, because of the amount of petrochemical refineries are in the region. The way this game kind of like shows how this area and the people who live in this area have been exploited for so long, both today by these corporations and then in the past by slavery, and the way that this kind of like builds and continues. And in this region of Louisiana, which is very much threatened by flooding and hurricanes, and these existential crises kind of hang over these characters' heads, yet they still persist and exist, and they still find meaning and social connections, and they still hold on to faith and all sorts of things, and other beliefs. And it's, I think, really profound the way this game can kind of, I think, really show you just the state of this particular slice of Louisiana, but the one that kind of speaks for these broad universal truths that a lot of people are experiencing today.
Awesome.
So yeah, again, it's Norco is great. It's a heavy game, but it's really well done. It's a really masterful narrative.
Awesome. So many of those I would enjoy in the right headspace.
I thought so. I double checked. Norco available on Game Pass. Let's go.
There you go.
Jeff is a walking Game Pass ad.
Incredible value. Alrighty.
Did you already do yours, Will? Or?
Yeah, I did Sophia River.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Alrighty, so we have favorite story / narrative. What story gave you the feels, or you just really liked, No, you better cry. My round is up. Got Digimon here for reasons I said when I was talking about cast, just what they did and made it feel like you're actually playing in, like, especially compared to other Digimon games, a season of the anime, but with more mature themes. It was great and enjoyable. Had a great time with it. God of War. Obviously, really liked what they did the characters on and stuff, and just closing the arc on the Nordic saga. Curious to see if they continue, I guess, along this line where they go next. AI, Sonya Files 2, Nirvana Initiative, good old anime story, all the crazy twists and turns. You got all this shit where, you don't know how the timeline fits, all that stuff come together, all that anime bullshit. Obviously, Stanley Parable's a good one that obviously doesn't have kind of story, like straight linear story, but all these different endings, just going through it and seeing what is going on or what can go on and all that kind of stuff. Very enjoyable exploring with the narrator by your side. And definitely not a surprise, I'm sure, fair story narrative is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I think it's my favorite Xenoblade story. Overall, just partly because like the characters and just how the world is built off the back of the first two, but it's also obviously has stuff from the first two, but is disconnected enough to where anyone who hadn't played the first two can go and enjoy this, but obviously has the nods for fans and all that kind of stuff. But just how I think they designed like the lore of this world fits really well, like I said earlier, with the two warring factions, where it's literally the characters are born from age 10 and they only have 10 years to live till they're 20, and then they are recycled through a like reincarnation cycle or whatever. And the characters breaking that and learning about life beyond their 10 years of life, 10 years of war that they have to live through. Yeah. And of course, anime as fuck.
Oh,
Monolith Soft, best like fighting cutscenes in the biz. Jesus Christ.
It's distilled anime. I mean, high alcohol content anime. It's just
like
60 proof
shit.
anime.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite narrative from all the games I've played is definitely Guardians of the Galaxy. Then I kind of feel like I've already talked about it basically,
Yeah.
all the reasons why. But yeah, just very very well told story and very good cast. Also love the Elden Ring lore and everything, like reading into all of that and everything. A lot of it obviously out of the game and everything. Like it's a hard one where it's like the actual moment, the moment of like playing the game, like experiencing the people talking to me or whatever was like not. I mean, it was interesting, but it wasn't like super engrossing. It was like whenever you delve into it, like more like after the fact or whatever, is when it gets like really good. But so definitely shout out to that. But Guardians of all the things that I played is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, runner up for me has to be God of War. I know it's a probably well-worn topic at this point, even in video games. I feel like where you have a father figure of some sort helping a son or daughter of some sort.
Only you play Sony
Um,
games.
Yeah, but I also kind of can't get enough of it. I just love that theme of, fatherhood, protection, raising someone, even if it's not your child. So even with the, I think, somewhat serious issues that Ragnarok has, if you really try to dissect it, I think
We'll
the
talk
actual
about those.
story, the actual story itself of Atreus and Kratos, I think, is something special. So absolutely loved it. But in terms of games that I played this year or replayed in this case, my number one has to be Portal 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time.
Did you play that for the first time
That
this
is a
year?
good one.
He said,
No, I replayed
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but it was kind of a different experience. In February, I got a Steam Deck, so I've been playing a lot of games on that.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool kind of playing that handheld. So I loved it again.
Yeah.
Classic.
Off topic, but Willie, I got a Steam Deck a couple weeks ago, and I love it. So great.
It's so great. I mean, I wish I used it more. I feel like I go into phases where I use it more often than not, but it's really nice to have to say.
All right, so this is where it gets really hard. There are a lot of really good narratives this year.
Citizen
but,
Sleeper and Orca, right? It's one of them.
they're definitely up there. But my runner-up is Pentiment.
Nice.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Which is it's not a game I've finished, so I reserve or it's not my final opinion on it. So it could change. This could be my favorite narrative, but so far it's like I'm about halfway through. It's like I see what the game is doing, and I think it's very smart. I mean, it's a game where it's these are people in a historical period, and they're very aware about how who they are, where they come from, and how history just kind of compounds and builds on itself like layers of paint that just kind of build up over time. And something that a lot of people say is that the present is very much informed by the past, like the present arises out of the past. And this game features characters and is set in a position where people acknowledge that, they're aware of that, and so they're not only thinking about where do they come from and like how are they informed and influenced by the past, but also how will people in the future remember them, how do their actions in 1518 Bavaria, how will that play out in the future as well. And I think that's really it's something about how it's very profound. And then also I think this game very much acknowledges too that it kind of pushes against this progress narrative that we have about history. This game is set in what's called the early modern period. So the modern world is coming out of the medieval period, and there are people who are holding on to like these medieval ideas, but that's not necessarily like better or worse. The game talks about how for a lot of people in the early modern period and into the modern world, things got materially worse for women, for example. There's a point in the game where like this woman under medieval law would have inherited land, but because ideology is changing to these kind of Enlightenment ideals, she's no longer allowed to inherit land. And so the game is kind of really playing with this idea of how is history created and what does history mean. And I think that's really clever. And how do you, as your character, kind of fit within that. But my favorite narrative is actually from a game called Signalis, which is a survival horror game. And I'll talk more about this game later, but this game is very much in a classic survival horror style, very much like old school Resident Evil, old school Silent Hill. But its narrative draws a lot from those games as well as other games. Like I see some bit of a Nier Automata in there, also things from various other genres and stories. I see a bit of like Ghost in the Shell in there as well. But it's taking all these things and compiling them into something new and different and interesting. And I think as a narrative and as a game, Signalis honestly kind of stands alongside those survival horror greats like Resident Evil 2 and Silent Hill 2 and stuff like that. So and just a gripping narrative where you can kind of, like a lot of good horror, like your imagination can kind of run wild with the implications that happen towards the end of the game.
Nice.
Nice.
I should have figured you were bringing Signalis.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot about that, to be honest. I remember you talking about it before, but I kind of forgot about it.
Alrighty. Moving on. Favorite art style / art direction. What art made you cry like the Mona Lisa?
What arted?
Alrighty, let's see what I have here. Let's see. For my run up, I like God of War, of course. Obviously, the nice graphics and anything, but the way the game looks, as far as look at all Northy, looks really good.
It's very Norsey, Jeff Mayo.
Very Norsey. No, and just like designs, like not deciding not to make Thor look like Chris Hemsworth, but more like how you.
I love it. I love how Thor looks in that game. I mean, he looks like an actual
for all the characters and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he looks like how I think an actual like Norse fighter man would look. I mean, he's like I like that he's not just like modern just a trope of a hot guy would look like. I like that he looks practical. He looks strong. He looks like he could kill me with one hand. That's
like be able to grab your skull, big hand he has there. Cult of the Lamb. Nice little jolly art style with the little critters going around, and just how it kind of like, obviously it's a very cute game, but then it gets weird. The weird Cthulhu like monsters you might find, all little things, all the ritualistic sacrifices, just how it clashes, but it works.
Weird game. I love it, man.
Yep. Very fun thing. Xenoblade, very anime, but just like the way the world's looking and all that, how they use either like parts of like creatures to make the land masses and all that for like the previous games, all that coming over that and make the environments look. And I think this is some probably across the board, maybe the strongest like character designs as well for the Xenoblade games. And I'm going to imagine I'm going to at least take Darby's best art direction as Elden Ring.
Not a question. There is zero question. zero question. And it's all for the same reasons, But just best monster design and world design, like the way the worlds look or whatever. But just like how everything just looks.
You're comparing it to Breath of the Wild earlier, and I think something that helps Elden Ring, like when you're comparing those two, is like you were saying, just the variety in the world.
Yes,
where Zelda has not as much in comparison.
Right. There's parts of Elden Ring just look like another game. Sometimes it just looks like a completely different vibe, different. Just the monsters you can take. If you took one monster from Kayla and threw them in Limgrave, they would look so out of place. You'd be like, "What the fuck is this like eldritch monster doing here?" And I love that.
I think you mentioned vibe. I think it's a testament to how strong the art style is. Where it is obviously like you look at it, it's like this is FromSoft, but they do enough different in a lot of places. Like, okay, this is it. This is Elden Ring, though. It's a FromSoft game, but it's its own thing compared to like the Dark Souls franchise and like Bloodborne and stuff and Sekiro.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't really have any runner-ups that I feel strongly about, so that's good with me.
Not
Yeah, I mean,
Pokemon?
certainly.
Not Pokemon.
Well, characters.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the art direction in Elden Ring 2, just because like this game knows how to create like centerpieces or like just create objects in the world that really like draw your attention and like understandably like how like yes, of course this whole world would operate around this giant golden glowing tree in the middle of the world, and just how that just permeates everything even below ground, and it's just and other things too as well. That's just one example, but just the way that this game can create set pieces and do it in such a breathtaking and artistic way, even like when you look up at the night sky and you see like that there's two moons, and like the way that kind of like frames the Erd tree, and then you have like the swamp, and as well as like the big cauldron or thing for the giants. Can't remember what it's called, but the way that I guess the various deities and the various like ideologies in Elden Ring are like physically manifested, and the way that they kind of like there's just like this oddness to it that like I think really reinforces the lore as well.
Yeah, and I think I like what you said about the art design catches your eye for the fact that there's not really like you're not looking at your mini map to go to this certain thing most of the time. It's more like, oh, what's that giant cauldron thing in the sky?
Yeah.
What's this, dragon going or whatever? It's like this person's something zipping around. It's like, well, I want to go look at that. They're just like you can or just giant castles. Like you can get to one castle, you look over and you see two more castles in the distance, and it's like
a giant dragon just laying out across the giant field.
right, yeah.
Slaying there.
I feel like there's just always something to catch your eye without you having to even open your map at all. Just to like, I want to go see what that thing is, and that's just part of the brilliance of it for sure.
Cool. Another old game. Sorry, guys, but
Me
I
too.
think, yeah, I'll never get tired of Gen Z, I think is her name, that works at Supergiant. I
Yeah.
played Hades this year. I haven't completed it,
hell
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
But I loved Hades, and I think all her designs in all of her games have been amazing. But as a little bit of a myth nerd, I like seeing her redesigns of these Greek gods and goddesses and how she kind of plays around with what we know about them and kind of surprises us maybe with some of her decisions. So yeah, love the art style of Supergiant.
Gotta finish.
Oh, yeah,
it
great.
for Hades too.
That's
Jeff's
true.
mic
Yeah,
is off, by the way.
excited. Oh,
Right? Isn't it?
Wait,
Jacob?
what did he say?
Wait, what?
Jeff's mic is off again.
Oh.
he mentioned Hades too, which also very exciting. Yeah, no, Gen Z's art is really good, really solid, and it's really cool to see how her style has evolved from Bastion through Transistor and into Pyre and Hades. Her art is just synonymous with Supergiant. Like I don't know how, like
Yeah, I agree.
you have to keep hiring her. Like Supergiant can't make a game without her art anymore, which is like, hey, that's awesome for an artist.
As excited as I am for Hades 2, I am like, man, I wish I could see a new version of something else that she comes up with, and not stay in the same world.
I'll be honest. I'm sure it'll be great and everything, but I was also a little bummed 'cause I just like that they do something different every time. But
Yeah, it's so cool.
I had a feeling with how popular Hades was that this might happen. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I guess so. For me, my runner-up for favorite art style, or Will, did you have more? I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. So my run-up for favorite art style / direction is Immortality.
I need to play. I didn't know you had played
Yeah.
this. I want to play it with my sister. 'Cause I think
Yeah,
it's
that's one
weird. and we
I
don't know.
want to
yeah.
get back to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So to be transparent, I played like most of these games in the past like 4 or 5 weeks.
No,
Nice,
no,
nice.
I figured because you're naming all the games we talked about you trying to play.
Nice.
So I just knocked them out one after the other. But Immortality, you can look up trailers for this. It's the game where you are kind of, it's almost like like a lost DVD or something like that of like footage from this actress who none of her 3 movies came out, and you're kind of like looking through this raw footage. And what I think, first off, the presentation I think is just very smart. I mean, is it Half Mermaid Studio?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. They've done other kind of quote unquote F&V games before, even though it's not really like an F&V game.
They have a style.
They have a style where you're kind of like looking through archives or like, video databases. And so again, like I think the presentation is just awesome. But also, she started in a movie from the 60s, the 70s, and one in the 90s. And it's just incredible like how well this game has nailed the aesthetics and the look of like movies from that time period. Like it feels like you're looking through footage of a movie made in like 1968. And just the way everything kind of you kind of have like that technicolor aspect where like the blood is like really red and like and also like characters when they're not acting or like wearing clothes that are like appropriate for the time period. The movie from the 70s is like a neo-noir film, and it really has that kind of sickly kind of tone to it that a movie like Taxi Driver would have. So they really were able to capture the aesthetics of each movie for each time period, which I think is really phenomenal and really like immerses you in that experience of a game.
The performances in that game, for what I played, like an hour of it, are insane. Like, them playing actors, like, and then them playing those actors doing the scenes from the movies and just all this. Yeah,
it's a lot to ask from an actor. That's a lot of
no. That's one of those things where that's like we don't have like a best performance category. It's like even the little I played, I'd be like Immortality, someone from him. Like the cast, the main actress, it's excellent.
All the actors.
I don't know how much of all 3 of these movies are like. Did they basically film 3 movies for this?
Not.
It is
not quite because
Oh, go ahead.
They're not. So they're not. That's the thing. They're not finished movies. So you're looking at raw footage. So it's literally someone says, scene 23, take 2, and they click the thing, and then the actors act out the scene, and they say cut, and then there's like a little bit afterwards. But no, it's not like when you. I mean, I didn't find all the footage, but it's not like you can watch just like a complete movie from start to finish. I mean, you get all the major story beats, but it's like raw, unfinished footage.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if I'm just gonna say it now because I don't know when it's gonna come up again unless you did. I find it crazy that you can literally, at least what it seemed like, you can start like at any piece of footage.
Yeah, I want to talk about that later.
Okay.
But actually, my favorite art style and direction, as much as I loved Immortality, is from Signalis again, which that game, again, it has such a style and a look to it. It's very much a masterclass, I feel like, in PS1 like retro aesthetics. And it feels very much like a game from that time period where it's a sci-fi game, and like it has kind of that retro sci-fi aesthetic, like Cowboy Bebop almost has, where it's clear like someone from the late 90s imagining what the future would look like and all the weird technological continuities that come with that. But also just again, the style of this game, it's made by a German team, and so there's like a shit ton of German language that's like untranslated, but it just works so well. And just the overall presentation, and then when they do like cut scenes and other things, they just go hog wild with the style of this game. It's very like, every screenshot is like a painting almost. It's amazing.
Check this out.
Righty. Moving on. Favorite soundtrack / score. What about the mucus here?
Give us the mucus, Jeff.
The mucus. That's my runners up. Got Elden Ring on here. It's nice. Elden Ring is really good because it's not, for the most part, not all in your face, but it really fits the vibe of the world. And then, when there are the ones that have more, stuff going on, really hits. like during the boss fights.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna cheat and just have Pokemon in here because we got Arceus and Scarlet Violet. Both soundtracks are bangers for different reasons. Like I went earlier today when I was making this, sampling the OSTs for both of these games. Like obviously Scarlet and Violet's kind of more like you expect from Pokemon, so they're really good. But since it's been about a year since I played Arceus, reminded myself that music like, oh no, they actually went for something pretty, like feels different, has a much different vibe in Arceus compared to other Pokemon games, and it worked really well. Like I've heard other people say it, the Jubilife Village, which is the main hub area, I don't think like a single like video game song I felt so nostalgic for so quickly. It was like the month after I heard it, like he had this nostalgic feeling over me.
It's amazing. It's awesome.
Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope soundtrack obviously is a running up. I mean, you have Yoko Shimomura, Grant Kirok, and Gareth Coker as your composers. How's it not a banger? I mean, come on.
For Mario plus Rabbids, it's hilarious. I love it.
Call to the Lamb soundtrack is also a banger. Very different. It has like lo-fi kind of things going on. And
Love it.
then obviously the more upbeat kind of things. It's very different from the rest of the stuff I have in here, but it is also very good. Obviously, fair one, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Fair.
Yeah. Can't be stopped. You gotta expect in most years it's gonna be one of the JRPGs I played.
Xenoblade is a frequent listen while I'm working. And I don't even play the games, but the soundtrack.
It may not be. I don't think it might not be my favorite Xenoblade soundtrack, but it being a Xenoblade soundtrack,
even the worst Xenoblade soundtrack is basically what we're saying.
Yeah, I also love what they did with the flutes and all that. Like they literally designed their own flute for the soundtrack for this album, for the OST.
Well, that's cool.
There wasn't the right instrument that had we had the.
No, it was like they I think the story was they kind of learned the sound of it, so they like the general sound of that style of flute, but it was not exactly what they were looking for, so they crafted their own to get the sound they wanted.
That's how you know you're hard in.
Oh yeah.
I only have two worth noting, and runner up is Elden Ring for like kind of the same things as you said. It's not as striking. It's not a soundtrack I'm always going to like remember an exact thing from or whatever, but like it met the moment of like a giant epic boss fight, or just like you're on this vista looking at it. I mean, it met the moment.
You're like Jacob said when you get to up where the Kaelin and walk out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's definitely it blends
distant wailing just kicks in. You're just like, oh.
But I'm always like more of a sucker for like the just memorable melodies and stuff of like a little more in your face and everything. And Pokemon Scarlet, dude, like that soundtrack is a banger. I mean, it's real good.
So I'm gonna call you out here a little bit if you don't mind. I'm happy about this because I remember at some point I mentioned the soundtrack and you were like, I heard a little bit of it. You're like, and you were.
It was very early, and there was an overworld theme in one of the very early ones that was very repetitious, and I was in it for a long time.
I felt like it was before you started playing, but I know it was like early on.
Yeah, I had not bought it yet. It was whenever you were like, like it, and that one grew on me more or whatever. I mean, there's some. It can be very chirpy and very at times or whatever, and can like sometimes. And I do think that first overworld thing is probably one of my least favorite. Because like where I think it shined was like in a lot of the towns and everything. Because like this got into some like very jazzy type stuff, some like funky type stuff. I feel like they like added a lot into it, and it like had elements of like old Pokemon songs that I've heard. They're just very simple but cute and everything. It had elements of that, but it would always take it and kind of fuse it with like country sounding thing, a like hip hop sounding thing, a like jazz sounding thing. It was just like there was just a lot more like bass, and there was like several times I would go in, I was like, damn, okay.
You got Toby Fox on the soundtrack.
Not expecting this kind of heat from Pokemon, you know.
Yeah. Pokemon soundtracks go hard.
Yeah. I mean, but I've listened to a lot of Pokemon soundtracks and I like them. This one is a tremendously better than a lot of the other. I mean, Arceus, I'm sure I haven't really heard that one, but at least old Pokemon soundtracks, like this is a like Sword and Shield. I mean, it's like this is like 4 times. I mean, it's fine,
Yeah.
but like this was like an obvious big step.
So
up
I will
that
say,
they
as far as
went for.
comparisons, direct comparisons, the Sword and Shield gym leader battle song slaps harder than Scarlet Violet.
The gym leader thing or whatever in Scarlet is not my favorite. I mean, it's fine. It's whatever.
No, the one Sword Shield hype instantly. Like, we're doing this.
Oh shit.
Surprised no Guardians.
It's always a little bit weird with the licensed songs, but they did use it very well.
Yeah, that's why soundtrack / score. It's like, that fits.
They did use it very well. The shtick got a little old at times or whatever, where it's like, because I feel like in a Guardians movie, it's short enough to where it's like, okay, yeah, they had their like 380 songs or whatever, that was cute. When you got the game, it's like, okay, well, we're on their like 12th 80 song. It's like, I get it. I get it. It's you're doing the fun pop song, So it was good, but I think
I think when I was playing that game, I just stopped doing those moments. I was like, I don't need that.
They're kind of pointless, and they're just. And I was getting a lot of the same songs over and over again. I was like, okay, well, it's like, so, yeah, it's good, but Pokemon Scarlet, it's an all timer for me.
Right.
It's like, it's up there.
I wouldn't say for number one. I just meant like as a
Yeah.
honorable mention at least.
I'm trying to keep it to 2.
Gotcha.
So those are my 2.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. The 2 songs that stand out to me is the opening, not the credits, I guess the title screen music of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I feel like it was like way louder than it needed to be, but it was awesome. So I was
it's like Elden Ring, bitches.
yeah, it really is like super
Get
loud.
excited!
Every time I logged in.
Gonna die a lot.
But I think for sure number 1 has to be is it Bear McCreary? Is that his name for God of War?
Good old
just
Bear.
I guess it's not new, right? It's the same for the most part, the same sounds as was in 2018, but just that
It does its part. It makes it sound nice and epic.
yeah,
This is
just
what
the
that's all it needs to do.
of the chorus, singing the bum bum bum. It's like, oh man, this is good stuff. Hypes you up. So love that.
Yeah, not too many of the games that I played this year had like banger soundtracks, but they did like really reinforce like the setting and the world and the tone and all that. So definitely shout outs to the merchant instrumentalists or the merchant theme from Elden Ring, where they're playing like that guitar, violin sort of thing. That was really great. But my runner-up soundtrack is the soundtrack for Signalis. It really hits that very, it's Silent Hill-esque soundtrack where you have like really soothing kind of ambient music coupled with horrifying, like clanging industrial noise that really like, when things are popping off, like it gets your heart pounding. But my favorite soundtrack is a soundtrack for Norco, which kind of like what I talked about with the setting bit, it really, and the narrative stuff, it really kind of like reinforces the tone of that world, just the feeling of both hope or the search for meaning, and also like the feeling of hopelessness also inherent to that world. And I was looking at the soundtrack on Bandcamp. Apparently there's like songs by the band Thou on this soundtrack, which Thou is just like the best sludge metal band in the business right now. Like they're from that area too, so it totally makes sense why they'd be on that soundtrack. So it's like, yeah, hell yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, great, good soundtrack.
Nice. All righty. Next we have favorite or overlooked gameplay mechanic. All right, do that. All right, from me, runner up, I have the class system from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Love me a good old-fashioned class system where you have like...
It's crazy.
Yeah. You completely change the moveset, and you can give any one of your 6 party members any class and all that, and you like have levels for them, and you can like mix and match abilities from different classes onto anyone you want, or mostly anyone you want. They have it cool split up to where classes are either like Xenoblade 1 or Xenoblade 2 pretty much, and you can mix and match from the ones from like the two different games they're based on. It's really cool. Gotta give a shout out to Mouthful Mode from Kirby.
Oh god,
Haven't got much Kirby love just because the style of game it is, but love me that little pink puffball sucking up them cars.
I've always wanted to be a traffic cone.
Yep. Vending machines, little, I don't know, circle O things or whatever, so you can pop things, air pop things, I don't know. Crazy shit. And they used it well with a lot of like different challenges and all that kind of stuff. I think it was a good compliment to like add on from like what you already do with copy abilities.
Nice.
My number one is the Arceus catching mechanic. Catching Pokemon has never been like my main thing. I just mainly go out and get the guys I mainly want to use for my team, and just that's it. But dear Lord, did I love catching those little guys, and sometimes those really big guys. Because that catching is the main point of that game, and it is fun as hell. And I sunk like 80 hours in that game, like in the first 3 weeks it was out. So I obviously had a very good time with that. It just felt so good, just throwing the balls, and you had the different ones, like the Pokemon flying like way out in the distance, and you have like a winged sky ball thing. You just threw it and sniped them to get it in. It felt good.
Hell yeah. I don't really have anything for this category, to be honest with you. I mean, I was gonna maybe say that the citizen sleeper mechanic, but I haven't played enough to. I mean, that would probably be my vote, but I will pass my turn.
Okay. I'll start with an old one for runner up. My old one is arguing with yourself in Disco Elysium. I'm not done with it. I'm probably not even close to being done with it, but I've kind of played it off and on throughout last year. And it's really interesting how basically the entire game is just arguing with yourself over and over and over again, and it's pretty fun. But my number one, which, guys, if you haven't played this game, you need to, because my number one is snapping in Marvel Snap.
Oh
It
shit!
is so
I played
fun.
a little bit. I need to play some more.
All right.
I am not a mobile gamer at all, but I think Kyle Bosman was talking about it in one of his delayed inputs, and I was like, all right, I like Marvel. I'll give this a shot, and I'm addicted. It is so fun. But yeah, the haptic feedback of snapping in that game, and just like knowing that you're gonna win, or even better when they snap back, very fun. Very fun.
Beware the snapback.
The snapback.
Yeah.
You could tell that was a man who, who was hooked on something, just the way he talked about it. It's just like the feedback on your fingers.
Dude.
You just don't understand.
The rush.
So you played some, Jeff, but
I played a little bit of it, yeah.
I did not know this game was until a few weeks ago, but I'm amazed by like the amount of people who are like really into this game.
I genuinely had no interest because I never play games like this on my phone. But yeah, since I saw it in Kyle's video, I've been really, really into it. I recommend it. Once you snap, you never go back.
Oh, true. I was snapping before it was cool. But anyways, I mean, we kind of talked about it already, but my runner-up favorite mechanic is just the open world from Elden Ring. Is that a mechanic? I don't know. I don't care. But it's, like, who would have thought that like an open world Dark Souls would like just be so damn good? And it's like, it as someone who's played every single Souls game multiple times, it's like this just kind of changes so much and the way that I kind of experience those games. But my favorite gameplay mechanic is definitely the match cut mechanic from Immortality, which is just like a really ingenious way to kind of explore that narrative and that footage. Where if you don't know, basically, you're watching footage, you can pause it or rewind it, and you can click on things in the scene, and that will match cut to a similar thing in a different scene, could be a different movie, could be like an interview that this actress is like doing for the movie, but it's like, you know, someone's holding a knife in one scene, you click on the knife and that will cut to a knife in a different thing. Or, you know, it could be a something that kind of resembles a knife shape, and it doesn't have to be a knife. But it's, you know, immortality, because it doesn't really give you any directions. It's just kind of like, here's the footage, you know, what happened to Marissa Marcel. And you kind of, as you explore through the footage and you kind of have questions, you can kind of chase down these questions and follow leads that you're kind of coming up with on your own. So it's like, well, I want to know what happened to this one guy. I'm going to try and like chase scenes and like think about like what objects I need to pick on that will connect me to more scenes of like this one character. And so I think that's a really clever twist on the way that this studio has kind of normally dealt with delving through archival footage.
Yeah, so to add on to that, something I really liked what I did early on. I'll have to see like how effective it actually is, but it gets you a little got me a little excited when you go through footage. And like there was one specific one I got early on where it's like a script reading round table thing. So it was like 5 people there and a whole bunch of objects, and you're like, there are so many scenes to click on, and you can favorite scenes. So I put that in favorites. Like, oh, whenever I feel like it, I got a great jumping off point to go into who knows how many different directions.
Awesome. Yeah, Jacob, do you think it's fair to say that like this might scratch a similar type of itch that me and my sister loved Return of the Obra Dinn? You know, just like scrubbing through, piecing together like all this stuff, what have you. It just seems like it's like a different but similar vibe that we might enjoy.
Okay, let me put it this way. I beat this game in about 8 hours. That was a single sitting. I played this game from start to finish in one 8-hour sitting because I was that engrossed in like the mystery and the story. I'm like, I just one more scene. Like, where's this gonna go? And then you're like, okay, what the fuck is going on? And you just try and like again chase down. You get those fixated on like these questions, and like you want to answer these questions, and you just kind of chase down these leads until you get new information. And I think it's just a great game.
Awesome.
When I did that 1 hour per game thing, I had to stop myself because I had like 4 other games, because it's one of the first games I did. I still need to get back to it because I wanted to focus on other ones for various reasons. But yeah, that's like as far as those games, the first one I want to get back to.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, we have favorite weapon, aka what will probably end up being what's our favorite weapon from Elden Ring category. And friends.
I think it's like the only game I played that actually like had weapons in it.
That's fair.
I was about to say, this category is not doing a whole. You know, I'm not like, doesn't bring up a lot of options.
Yeah.
I got a curveball for you guys. So it's my turn.
Right. I got 2 runners up, and then my favorite, the one runner I got is the Rune Tracer. I need to play more of this game from Vampire Survivors, which is also a very excellent game that could be very addicting.
Apparently, Alex has gotten hooked on that recently too.
I'm not surprised. So what the Rune Tracer does, it's like a projectile that goes across the screen, fires out of you, and like bounces and ricochets off the screen, and you can get like upgrades. So you like for every weapon you have, like you have multiple of them. So like I think at one point I got up to like 3 or 4 of them bouncing across the screen. It's not that great early in the run when there are very few enemies, but it also like goes through them and like just keeps on going, so it doesn't like stop when it hits someone. So like when you have swarms of enemies around you and you have like multiple of them going around, you're just seeing a bunch of damage numbers go off and a bunch of people getting hurt and a bunch of people dying. Oh yeah. Vampire Survivors serotonin in the game, man.
Are you playing that on Steam Deck?
Yes, that's what I've played a good bit on. I'm playing it through Game Pass on cloud, which works very well. I have the Kaboomer from Mario Plus Rabbids, which is Rabbid Rosalina's weapon. Wow. It's a little doll thing that she pulls the cord and like a gun comes out of its mouth and fires stuff. What's very fun about her ability is that she like freezes people, and when they're frozen, they take additional damage. So you do that, and technically her weapon fires like 10 times.
Jeez.
There's like 10 shots with all
Yep.
additional damage. It's like it just mows down
Nukes
people.
people.
Rabbit Rosalie's a maniac. And my favorite weapon is the wing scythe from Elden Ring. It is my main weapon there, and I gotta imagine it'll probably be. I haven't finished the game completely yet. Imagine it's gonna be my main weapon probably throughout the whole thing. Scales off Faith. It's just like it just feels so good swinging that thing around.
Absolutely.
Not too fast, not too slow. Feels good.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I kind of just use the same type of staff. I mean, I like switched the staff around, but like did all the same thing. So like in Elden Ring, I did all sorcery.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorcery. So obviously, I mean, that's way up there. It's weird. I don't really associate it with the weapon necessarily. It's just like,
Oh, you could
these
say
are
what's your
the
favorite spell?
They could, yeah. I guess I probably should have gone down
Common
that.
Azure.
I probably should have gone down that. Okay, sure. I'll do. All right, then I'll do my runner up. Then is the serpent blade thing that you fight Rykard with. 'Cause I thought that was such a cool thing, you know, to have the. Sorry, you haven't even fought him yet, but whenever you go in there and it's like if you try to fight this guy normally, it's like God, this sucks or whatever. But there's this weapon like inside the boss arena over there, and if you go pick up this weapon, it's like designed specifically to attack him. So it's you're like sending these like wind gusts at him and everything. I thought that was cool too. It's like we're gonna give you this weapon that's just like for this fight and everything. That was super duper cool. Did you have something?
Yeah. I was gonna say FromSoft has done that. I guess that thing in other games before, but I think in Elden Ring is like their best execution of that idea.
Yeah.
Of like having like a special weapon to fight a boss.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was fun for that because it's like you can't really approach him very well without that. But that
Yeah, but he can still get you, which is I think really
and still
like,
get you.
it's really good.
Yeah, I like that fight a lot. That was one of the more interesting fights. I definitely died a lot, but it was an interesting one. But I guess I'll say, I guess my favorite weapon or whatever is the string of things that you do, and I don't remember the name of them, but you put I put down a spell thing on the ground that increases the damage of any magic spell you do. Then I had a knife that had this ash of war or whatever that increased your next attack no matter what it was. So I would like use that, and then I would go to Comet du jour. And shoot that. So I had Common du jour with two other things boosting it. It took an eternity to get all that off. So half the time I would try to do that, I wouldn't get it off, or the person would dodge out of the way. And it's like, great, I just like set up for a year to miss. But when it landed, oh, that felt good. That felt
Charge
so
that
good.
Kamehameha.
I was just. And that was fun because I was just doing like one of those things, but then like I got like a friend of work said like, oh yeah, there's this spell that you can put it on the ground and it does this. I'm like, okay, cool, I did that, and then I read online about the knife thing, so I'm like, I just stacking these things together, and it's felt good.
Yeah, that is my favorite thing about Elden Ring, I think, compared to other Souls games, where especially with the games like Sekiro or Bloodborne, where there's an emphasis on mastering this boss and like having the skill to like just to get good, to beat it. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Elden Ring, there's so many tools at your disposal, and I think that the way the bosses are designed too, where it's more so like, how can I break this? Like, what's the combination of like spells and weapons and summons that will just like destroy this boss for me? And I thought that's really fun. I played a Faith character, and I had kind of a similar experience.
Yeah, the best games are the ones that encourage you to break them. I mean, that is like the best feeling.
Yeah,
everyone secretly wants to do
at least, yeah, I get why they don't have that. It's not the necessarily mentality for all their games, like especially like Sekiro. But yeah, I think that's the right approach for Elden Ring, considering the openness of it. Fighting on these bosses and breaking it.
Yeah, I'm happy that both design philosophies exist. And there are bosses in Elden Ring where it's just like, just like have like an honest sword fight. But for a lot of them, it's like, no, like what bullshit can you like pull out?
I'm going to spam fireball on your ass.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, so
curveball.
Jeff kind of stole my curveball. We'll wait. No, my runner-ups were the spear in Hades.
My favorite.
I do love the spear. Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
basically the
Oh, yeah.
Leviathan axe, but in Hades. So
Yeah,
it's great. I think
basically.
I've gotten the farthest with that weapon. I'm pretty sure I've made it to Hades with that weapon, so that's the one I gravitate towards. And speaking of Leviathan axe, I mean, come on, classic at this point, very fun to use. But my favorite, Jeff, is also Vampire Survivors, and it's the garlic.
Oh yeah.
Nothing feels more powerful than using garlic in that game, because it's literally just like a force field basically around you. So as you're moving, you're just destroying every enemy in your path, just bulldozing them. Again, it's totally mindless, but it is very, very fun to use. So the garlic.
Jeff, I just had an idea of I don't know if you can turn this into anything, but I want you to go back to every Nerds at Large betting special or like our game of the year thing or whatever, and take all of our favorite weapons and then like pit them against each other. So I want like Will with his garlic against like I don't know, the Buster Sword or something. You know, it's like you're randomized. Like you go in there and like Will is randomized. He might get the garlic, he might get the Leviathan axe, he might get
We win.
You might get some the Keyblade. I don't know. I'm trying to think of
I have an idea for that. I have an idea for this. If y'all are down at some point later, be like, we get to have branding special just to do it for the fun of it. Okay, so I did idea partly because of what Darby and I did last week on the podcast was a tournament bracket of our favorite characters. So what we do is I take every one of I can do purely our favorite weapon from each year. And do a tournament bracket and see which one of our favorite weapons is the strongest. Like if we were the ones to wield it.
I think it's a great idea. I love that, honestly.
I'll do that, Darby.
I'll get it. Glad I can have one good idea. Glad. It was just something about like just seeing him with the garlic. Just made it was just very funny. I thought about like we've had the Buster Sword, we had the combination.
Very important to remember when we get to that. Garlic works on more than just vampires, because you don't actually fight vampires in this game. There are no vampires in this game.
Wait, so Jacob, Darby, y'all haven't played Vampire Survivors?
I've not. I'm tempted.
I feel like I should.
Honestly, I recommend it. It's like like $5. It's
It's the same thing with Marvel Snap, where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this, but it's $5 for free, right? So let's give it a shot. And it was super fun.
It's either going to be on mobile soon or
I think it is.
Yeah, already on
is
mobile.
It only on PC right now?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's on Steam and all that.
I know it's on iOS at least. I don't know about Android.
Yeah. That's one I can see because you're literally just moving around and then selecting upgrades. That's all you're doing as far as gameplay. So I could see actually being fun on mobile.
Yeah.
But yeah, Steam Deck is great to play. It's just kind of sitting there
it is.
I guess like more Elden Ring talk. My runner-up favorite weapon is actually one of the Ashes of War. It's Flame of the Redmanes, which just listen. While FromSoft was busy nerfing Hoarfrost Stomp, they didn't know about Flame of the Redmanes. That thing
when fucking dorks use it.
Exactly. You can put it on like I think any weapon, and basically you just cast like a fire spell that moves in an arc. But the poise damage that thing does, the delicious poise damage. Like I was like staggering bosses just like in 2 hits with that thing.
It's amazing.
It's like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But my favorite weapon is
well, Jacob, think about this because you might be using this in the field of battle. You know.
No, it's the Blasphemous Blade. It's the sword that you get from infusing Lord Reichardt's soul. And this sword, it's like this bronze-looking sword.
It looks so cool.
It looks so cool. It's covered in like these like red hands that are like the souls of like the warriors he's devoured, like coming off of it. And just the special skill that it has just shoots out like in a straight line, this like this like wave of like fire and lava, and it just does a shit ton of damage. And it scales with faith, so it's just a great weapon. What's his name? I won't spoil it, but the guy who also uses all the spells against you towards the end of the game. Listen, he couldn't handle the heat. Get out of the kitchen. I'm the Elven Lord. So really good. Really
Love
good.
it. Oh, shout out to the Mimic tier. That thing saved my
yeah.
ass. Saved my ass so much. You know, I don't know if that's a weapon, but you know, whatever. I am a weapon.
I love the meme where it's just like the two images of the Giga Chad reversed from each other. And it's just like the Mimic here.
Love it.
So good.
Alrighty. Darby, Will, this is your time.
Oh shit.
Favorite old game or games?
Oh, take a sip of that whiskey. You got you ready. Get warmed up.
So I have 3 old games that I played this year, or at least that I can remember playing this year. I'd say this. They were all really good. Played a Plague Tale Innocence at close to the beginning of the year. Hoping to play Requiem when it came out or shortly after. Haven't done that yet. Need to get on that. Very good shit. Great Ace Attorney. Has that 2-game collection. I only finished the first one. I need to go back and do the second one. Excellent. Might be my favorite Ace Attorney game I played. Very good shit. And I know it's gonna be one on Darby's. Fortnite.
Yeah, in my number one.
Yeah, this is the year Darby and I really got into Fortnite, and we've had a blast with it, with all its crazy wackiness with the Kamehamehas and the like.
Oh, I mean,
Spider-Man web.
legitimately already some of my favorite gaming memories. It's just like crazy shit happens in that game, and it's like casual enough to where you can just get in and have fun regardless of skill level, but also it can get pretty sweaty and everything towards the the end of it. I don't like, and I have yet to. They're like, I love Overwatch, I love League, I love Valorant. Sometimes in those games, they're obviously I take them a lot more seriously, and I can get very angry when other people do, like when stuff goes wrong or whatever. Fortnite is just a chill time, at all times. Even if we just get trounced immediately, it's like, yep,
Well,
fine. GG, go next.
let's drop again.
It's just, I don't know, and like the amount of stuff they keep adding to that game constantly, and how well designed all the mechanics are and everything they add. I mean, it's one of those. It's that popular because it's real good. It's just very, very good. Yeah. Was that your number one? Yeah. It's obvious my number one too, or whatever. Most of my games, like if I'm gonna talk about some games later or whatever, for just like little bits, are gonna be old or whatever. So I mean, it's just been the same thing over again. I think my runner-up as far as old games would be Guardians for sure. I mean, that was like the most solid top to bottom game there. But I also want to shout out Dragon Quest, which I did not finish, so I was nowhere near finished. But I was really, really enjoying that, and I think I want to get back to like whittling away at that here and there. But super duper charming, it's like JRPG goodness. But like you can just tell, obviously, my first Dragon Quest game. Obviously, the many things that Dragon Quest does that inspired everything else that JRPGs do. It's like the Beatles, but it's I think it's done in a really cool way, and it like is very beautiful, and it's just like it's like a nice warm bowl of soup or something. It's like not too it's not doing anything too crazy. It's very traditional, but it's just nice. It just goes down smooth.
Now we need where it's gonna be edgy as fuck.
The only one I'm going to mention is Guilty Gear Strive. I've played a good bit more Guilty Gear Strive this year, and especially with Bridget and Testament. I've loved both of them coming out. Game is very fun, very queer. We love that. It's just all the good things. But it's soundtrack's amazing. It's just like it's a fighting game that I feel like I can get into and play and not be complete ass at, and I like it. It's very fun, very good.
It's a good one.
It's good.
Nice. I played 20 old games this year.
Jesus.
Not gonna go through all 20, but I will shout out a few. One of the first games that I played this year was The Last Guardian, which was frustrating, but also kind of endearing and fun. So,
did you want to set Trico on fire?
Oh no!
Did I want to?
Yeah,
maybe sometimes. But no.
He would have regretted it immediately.
Right.
As you do with any pet,
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what else. I also played through Hotline Miami, which was pretty fun. I played that on Switch.
Nice.
Always heard about those games, but never really tried them out. So that was fun. Interesting story too. Like I had no idea it was gonna be like that, but it's actually pretty psychological thriller-ish.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Let's see. I guess the only other one I really wanted to shout out was Mafia, the definitive edition. I finished out the year playing that. I zoomed through it. I just mainlined it. Not like there's a lot of side quests or anything, but it was good. It was not great by any means, but I like that setting, the 30s kind of prohibition era. So it was fun being being in that world for a little bit. But if we're talking about my favorite old games that I played, then that would be, of course, Mass Effect, which we already talked about, the trilogy, the two Portal games, plus Aperture Desk Job I played this year, replayed. And I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. And Tony Hawk Underground is like a definitive gaming experience for me. I guess I played that game probably more than any other game I can think of when I was growing up.
Same.
So being able to go back and kind of experience just that feeling again of hitting the combos and creating a character, all that stuff was super fun.
Nice.
Sick. The one old game I want to shout out, this is kind of a weird one. It's Yakuza Restored, which is, so if you don't know, when Yakuza 1 on the PlayStation 2 came out in the West, they gave it an English dub it's hilarious. They wanted it to be GTA, and so there's like excessive swearing. Mark Hamill voices Majima and is literally doing his Joker voice.
Wow, I did not
know
know
that.
Oh yeah, I have heard
that.
that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
There's some hilarious lines. It's so a lot of love for the Yakuza dub, but it's not how the game was intended to come across. And so someone went through the effort to basically mod the original Yakuza 1 for the PlayStation 2 and kind of put the Japanese audio back into the English language version. So you can kind of play it how the creators at the time intended to be played. And I think that was a really cool experience. I know the Kiwami games exist. I played them. I think they're good, but they don't. It's a thing with like a remake, right? It's because, you're kind of recreating this in a different engine and on a different console generation. It kind of loses qualities that really spoke to that story and kind of like what made that game work. The Yakuza 1 and 2 are much more kind of gritty noir type stories. And I think just the voice acting, the direction of the PlayStation games kind of and the graphics too, the muddy PlayStation 2 graphics kind of like really captures that more dour tone better than the Kiwami games do. And it just kind of sets those two games apart from the later Yakuza games. So if you're interested at all at playing the PlayStation 2 Yakuza games, I would recommend it. If you want to dabble in some emulation and modding, I would recommend it. I think it's worth it. But obviously, if you don't want to do that, then the Kiwami games are fine.
Are you recommending criminal activity on our podcast?
Absolutely not. Totally legal.
We would never. We've never streamed a ROM of a Pokemon game ever.
No, absolutely not. I know what you're talking
What do you mean, Jeff? That was perfectly. We were both holding around the Game Boy, and we were.
You mean all three of us, me, you,
Yeah,
and Alex huddling around a Game Boy? Alrighty. Biggest surprise. What surprised you this year the biggest?
No, you know my answers.
Yeah. It could be a game. Could be other random bullshit. I don't know. Runner up for me, I have Kirby. Reason it's partly runner up because I expected good. I expected to like it and all that. I did not expect it to be just like a legitimate like top tier 3D platformer.
Top
Love the
tier.
genre. We don't get a lot of, especially like higher budget ones, but Kirby is absolutely fantastic. I just kind of expected it to be like okay, it'd be like a good stepping stone to a truly great one the next time, but we got a truly great one now.
Now I want Jeff to have like a top tier stamp. It's like the Nintendo seal of quality. It's just top tier with a picture of Jeff.
Me with a thumbs up. I also got my biggest surprise. I got Fortnite, just because did not
Fair.
expect us to get
Fair.
into it nearly as much as we have, and like consistently.
We're
going to it.
normies.
Yeah. Just whenever one of us like, hey, Fortnite, as long as we're not busy, we're all like, fuck yeah.
It's just the easy, like, if you can't think of anything else, yep, just Fortnite,
Yep.
it's fine. Yep. Easy peasy. Pokemon Scarlet, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
like, the fact that, like, if you told me at the beginning of the year, yeah, I'm going to play to completion Pokemon Scarlet, and I'm gonna play about 5 hours of God of War Ragnarok and get bored. I'm sorry, what was?
You didn't finish it?
No.
Yeah, I'm the only one who's
Oh,
finished
okay.
it, besides you, of course.
Okay, sorry, I definitely spoiled some stuff then.
I've already spoiled stuff for Darby. They don't care.
It's all good. We'll see. I may end up like watching it or something. We can get into it later or whatever. But Pokemon Scarlet was like, I had zero clue that I was gonna play that until like I was watching you and watching other people play it, and eventually I was like, fucking fine. and I got it myself. And then even after I got it, I was like, this is gonna be a waste of money. Why am I doing this? It's gonna be stupid. I'm gonna barely play this or whatever. Proceeded to play it for like 80 hours, almost like completely hooked on it for like multiple weeks in a row. Yeah, just complete shock. Complete shock. Never would have saw that coming. So.
We got him.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see. So yeah, game wise, I guess for me it would be Marvel Snap. Never would have imagined that I would be into a mobile game, but here we are talking about the feedback of the Snap. Let's see. Also, I was gonna have one for God of War, but I won't say it now. I'll just say the ending of God of War, just in general, just to keep it safe for Darby. But I think my biggest surprise is from not a too old of a game, a couple years ago. It's tearing off the limbs of a living elephant and making my daughter cry.
Oh
And it takes
no! yeah.
Horrifying.
Oh,
just
just traumatizing. Just absolutely traumatizing.
I was playing with one of my friends from high school, and we were like, we're kind of jerk parents. And then as that was happening, we were like, wait, are we doing this right now? Just horrifying moments. So
You could go see on stream me and Jeff. We played that whole game on stream. So somewhere on there is me and Jeff be like, "What the fuck are we doing?" No.
Hey, no one said. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's such a left turn. Like I did not foresee that happening.
Great game.
I love that
Yeah,
game.
no one said parenting would be easy.
Yep.
No. Nope.
I think they're also selling cutie plushes now.
No, you know what you're doing. It should have.
It does have removable.
I was about to add detachable arms. Oh my
I have
god!
to say,
I'm
just
grabbing one.
as an aside on that game, like it was a lot of fun, but I felt like the story was actually not great for whatever reason. I was just like,
That's not
okay,
an
I mean,
uncommon opinion. I felt like me and Darby were like, it was fine.
Yeah, no, it was cute. It was.
Yeah.
It was
Like
it
Darby and I
was
weren't
cute.
strong on it one way or the other.
The meat of that. I mean, I just think mechanically and just like every section you go to, like it was the gameplay for me. Like the story is like yeah whatever. It's just a cute enough. You know exactly where it's going from second one, and it's like it's fine.
Besides Cutie
Yeah.
the elephant.
Besides cute.
I felt like there wasn't as much growth as I would have assumed by the end of the game. It's like y'all are still kind of terrible parents. Like I don't really get it, and I don't think you really love each other either. So
The story was kind of like it was a backdrop. It was like an excuse to go into these things. It was definitely kind of an afterthought in a lot of plays. But
I should have said for favorite character the Book of Love though. Freaking
my
love
God.
that guy.
yes, fantastic.
Have any surprises, Jacob?
Oh, that's right. We already kind of said it. It's the map in Elden Ring.
Oh yeah.
Just the way
That's
that the map grew and just like, oh, this is like 5 times bigger than I thought before the start of this. So
I just can't think of any other time like that where I legitimately fully in my heart of hearts believed that I had seen the full map, and then like literally not just, oh yeah, it's like, double the size. It was like 4 times the size of what I thought it was at one point. It's like, what the fuck? You can fit like 4 limb graves across everything. It's wild. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh, that's really cute that I thought that was the full map. Wild.
It's hilarious when you start New Game Plus, and it's just like that little tiny section of the map.
Feels so small. Let's see. Biggest disappointment. Gonna get a little neggy here. My biggest disappointment. Don't have a runner-up. God of War Ragnarok.
Wow, we got downers in here.
Oh, fighting words. I haven't played this. I've played it, so I have no opinion.
Same here, but Jeff.
Yeah, I know I've had it for some, runners up and stuff for a bunch of categories. It's partly because it does stuff very well, but as far as the gameplay, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the difference is here between this and 2018. The gameplay did not hook me like at all really compared to 2018. Like I was having a great time in 2018, but I got kind of tired of this combat like pretty early on in the game, and the pacing for like the first half-ish of the game or whatever, until a certain point is honestly terrible. It just drags for a while, and just the way it does, like it feels like it has to do combat encounters after every turn. It's kind of dragged on me.
I agree, and it was like I feel like I've seen Jeff very, very slowly start to mimic some of the things that like I've been saying the last like few years of like, I want to like only single out Sony, but it's a lot of Sony games where it's a lot of the like AAA third person action games. They're like Horizon, like God of War, like Ghost of Tsushima, stuff like that, whatever. Where it's like all of these games are good. They're objectively very good. And like usually their stories are phenomenal and everything, but it's just they gameplay wise they feel too safe, and it just starts to get to the point where it's like Jeff said, it just feels like I do this combat encounter. I walk, I see a cutscene, another combat encounter, a few clips, another combat encounter, a few clips, another combat encounter, and then eventually you had a door peek open, Will.
Okay, horrifying.
Eventually, it just like, I don't know. In Spider-Man was another good example. It's just these games just kind of get too predictable and too like, I just feel like I'm going through the motions, and half the time it's just like I just want the story, and I feel like I'm just kind of pressing buttons and going just to get to the next part of the story. Even if the combat is cool in bite-sized chunks, it's just I don't know. And like I got through God of War, and like I was really excited about it, but about 5 hours in, I was like, I am dreading just every like linear pathway I'm going through, fighting a bunch of the same enemies over and over again. It's like I want the story, but I'm just like having to pull myself through the actual minute to minute of playing the game, and yeah, that's so it was too much for me, where I was just like, I'm just not having fun, so I'm gonna go play Pokemon instead. And I was in the middle of playing Pokemon, so it was hard to stick with it.
We'll say it did pick up some for me, Will, when you got that third weapon.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty big turning point for sure. I feel like there's 2 turning points, and Darby probably didn't even get to the first one.
I'm sure.
No.
But you know what I'm talking about, Jeff. The first big turn, we were like, oh, okay, there's this now. I assume you know what I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah. And if it is what I'm thinking of, there is like when that happened, it's like, okay, it got me a little more excited, but like the part immediately after that was one of the parts where you're like, this is dragging.
Oh, sure, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely the common complaint, that section for sure, and I felt myself dragging there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the Sony games are just my jam. I mean, that's the kind of games that I love. So there's no doubt that I'm a fanboy for that type of a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little vanilla
Well, they're good. They're good, well-made games. They're games I would recommend to so many people. It's just I just feel like it's the type of game I've been playing my whole life, and then just like I
Sure.
can feel myself kind of fatiguing on them, even which kind of sucks because I think the storytelling has never been better, but it's just the actual like Spider-Man 2. I don't think I want to play that game. I want the story. I
Really?
want to experience the story
Hmm.
of that game, and I watched him play Miles Morales, and I'm like. I don't know. It's just kind of, it's just monotonous to me. But
I feel the same way. I think I'm a little more positive on Spider-Man than you are, Darby. And even I'm like, I mean, that was enough for me. I can never play a game like that ever again, and I'd be happy.
even it was
But
fun. It was a good time. But it
yeah,
was like, yeah, but it was, it's, at some point, I don't know.
yeah. Maybe I'll watch the cutscenes on YouTube.
But anyway, biggest
Yeah.
disappointment, William.
Is it me? Okay. Just a kind of dumb runner up. Around this time last year, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try The Outer Wilds. So I download it to my PS5. I'm like, this is gonna be fun. I've heard a lot of great things. I literally play like 20 minutes and my eyes are burning because it's at 30 FPS on my PS5. I'm like, I don't understand why is this game running so poorly on this hardware. I literally couldn't play. I'm not really a snob for that kind of stuff, but it felt like I was playing in slow motion the whole time. So that was a disappointment for me.
I
I
had
think there's
basically
a
the
patch.
exact same experience with Outer Wild. I mean,
Really?
it didn't look good, and that was definitely part of it. But it's like, I could get over that. It was the controls for me. It was just like when I went into space, I was like, this is fucking awful. It was just like slamming into things, could barely like I played it for about like 45 minutes, and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
sure this story ends up being very interesting and stuff, but it's like it's just too janky for me, and I bowed out too.
I think I've played about an hour as well. Now since I have a Steam Deck, I'm kind of tempted to get it on that and see how it goes. But I think there is a patch for PS5 now that's at 60 FPS, which hopefully helps a little bit. So I was just surprised that I cared that much because I don't usually care that much. But biggest disappointment for me, probably Horizon. I felt the same way about Zero Dawn. I don't think I even played it when it came out. I played it like a year after and really enjoyed it. But I tried playing this. Let's see. I think I was playing Mass Effect 1, and then once I finished with that, I tried to play Horizon. And I mean, I played basically the prologue. Probably got like 8 hours in, maybe not even that. It was just like, I don't think I'm having fun. So I had to move on to something else. So it's something that I want to go back to. But yeah, maybe this is the series for me. Whereas God of War, I was like 100% into, even with some of its problems. Horizon kind of epitomized, I guess, what you're talking about for me, where it's just like, this is exceptionally well made and the gameplay's fun, but I don't think I really care. So
I think Horizon is even worse. Horizon might be like one of the worst ones of these examples of Sony games of just especially just with it being so open worldy or whatever, where it just starts to feel
yeah,
like you're eating your vegetables. It just starts to feel like you feel yourself like monotonously going through this, and then you play for 20 hours, and then it's like, did I have fun?
well,
I forgot to check
yes.
if I was having fun. Like,
And I feel like what you're talking about with like wanting to have the story of a lot of these Sony games, but not wanting to play. I mean, I guess that's fair. I think I'm a story snob in some ways. And I guess the problem with Horizon is that like I don't really care about any of the characters. I don't remember their names except for
Yeah.
Aloy, and I don't even really care for that world all that much. Like, I mean, there's some interesting tidbits, the post-apocalyptic nature of it, but God of War, I love the characters. Ghost of Tsushima had some interesting stuff going on, but Horizon just like not super doing it for me. I'll give it another shot, but
yeah, Horizon is definitely an all lore and no character thing for me. I also think the characters are very forgettable, but the overall like sci-fi concept was very cool. But if you don't care about the characters, it's kind of hard to stick with 100-hour RPG. It's like, yeah, that's a lot.
yeah, totally.
Jake.
Well, on that note, I don't really have any disappointments.
Look
I kind
at
of enjoyed.
positive.
Yeah.
You
I
made
mean,
good choices.
yeah, all the games that I played, I they either hit about where I, thought they would, or they went above my expectations. The only thing that I can say is like disappointing. And it's a game I haven't played. And that's Bayonetta 3. Just some of the conversations around that seem pretty disappointing for a game that a lot of people anticipated. And I like Bayonetta, so that sucks. But haven't played it, so it doesn't really hit, in the same way that some other like the games that you guys listed would hit.
Does anyone have a biggest regret? Not we can.
Nah.
Yeah, okay. Favorite trailers. All that's marketing into my eyeballs. All
I
that good
love
shit.
marketing.
True. Marketing is the reason we're here. My runner-ups, I have the Xenoblade.
What?
Yep.
You don't say.
Yep. Runners-up, I have the Xenoblade 3 release date trailer. It was just the one that really went into the story and confirmed the characters combining into weird mech things and all that, and getting us exactly what's going on in the world. I have the Final Fantasy 16 Revenge trailer, which is the one from the Game Awards.
Is that the one where they were singing the names of the summons?
I don't think so.
Oh,
that one's cool.
yeah, like the one where they sing the names of the summons.
I like this one because it kind of gives you a better idea about the story and stuff, and like action stuff look cool and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's everything they were showing. It's like, okay, I'm feeling very good about this game overall. And my favorite trailer, and if I'm correct, it is Darby's as well. It's the Plucky Squire.
Don't leave me hanging.
Oh.
I think I know that one.
Oh, I don't know that one either.
It's from Devolver. It's a cute little indie game that's actually from a former Game Freak employee, who makes Pokemon. Where the trailer shows you like in a 2D book thing where you're doing a bunch of weird, crazy stuff, which was good enough. Like that, it looked great there. It's like, okay, this looked great. Could have been here even with that alone. But then the 2D character pops out of the book into a 3D world. Like a table and everything, and just goes around like someone's desk and interacting with everything, like going into cups, and it's like turning to like a Cuphead-esque like shooter thing or whatever, and just a bunch of other stuff. It just like
It was just like a phenomenal trailer of in like 3 minutes. It has like a twist, and it's also you immediately know what the game is. Title, boom. It's just like in and out. It was just very, very, very good trailer.
yeah.
I hope the game lives up to it, but it like looks
Immediately like more than any like new game that I've seen in a while. The trailers like just sells me on what the game is as far as like gameplay and everything goes.
yeah, looks like very Mario with in both ways, in the 2D and the 3D thing. It looks very nice. Yeah. Does anyone have a particular trailer? That's the only one that like even means it. I didn't have one until Jeff said that. I was like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like recency bias, but I really love the Armored Core 6 trailer. I thought that was, listen, I haven't played an Armored Core game.
And most people excited haven't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it takes a lot for me to get amped off of just like a concept trailer, but goddamn, that's a good ass trailer. So
I think that's a fair one to get excited off base of a concept trailer. Regardless, it's like, okay, if you're a fan of Armored Core, then of course. But also, if you're just a general FromSoft fan, it's kind of like, okay, them going to a different general setting than you're generally used to these days, and gameplay-wise, it at least should be somewhat different.
And I mean, at this point, if you just saw the FromSoft logo at the beginning of a trailer, and it was a trailer for like Doug's Adventure, we'd be like, hell yeah,
Doug Character of the Year!
I think all of these are pretty recent too, so this might just be the ones that I remember. So let's see, that crime boss. Trailer,
oh god, with all the different actors, I was like, what was going on?
Chuck
Norris.
That movie or what that game is, but I was like, I'm kind of into it. Like,
sure.
I kind of want to see more. So I feel like that deserves a shout.
It was entertaining for sure.
And I guess the only other two that I really remember from this year are the new Hellboy game I just remember seeing the art style and being like, that looks sick, and thinking for a moment that it might be at least inspired by Mike Mignola, who's the creator of Hellboy. And yeah, when it was a Hellboy game, I was like, okay, this could be cool. And then, of course, we have the trailer for Judas, which is just exciting from the aspect of it being a true auteur of video games, his new work. So, pretty cool.
I just looked it up because I thought this was the case. Crime Boss is supposed to come out in 2 months.
No.
Well, there you go, Will.
So we hopefully will be seeing more of that game soon.
Your goatee, Will.
It must be great.
Yep.
Is Judas the Ken Levine game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Gotcha.
No, that one did look good.
Gotcha.
I'm
Alrighty.
playing Bioshock Infinite now, so
I saw that on Discord. I wasn't trying to stalk you, but I saw that on Discord. I was like, hell yeah.
yeah.
I
never
just
played.
I replayed it like last year for a third time.
All right. Final
Sorry,
category.
Jake. I know Jacob doesn't like that game, so I'm sorry.
Really?
I hate that
Wow.
game.
You like
Like,
the original Bioshock?
yeah.
Or?
Yeah, 2's my favorite.
So I didn't mean to open up the can of
Choose your
worms.
favorite.
Yeah, 2 is my favorite. I will stand by that. I hate Bioshock Infinite. Like, not even like dislike it, just I hate that game. But anyways,
Do you
I
hate
want to
do you
know
hate
more
us?
after.
Do you hate us for liking it?
no, it's,
Okay.
no, you're fine.
I definitely want to hear more once we're done.
Do you hate us for putting Booker and Elizabeth in our character Hall of Fame?
Slightly. No, I'm just kidding.
Specifically Darby?
I was waiting for Jacob to say, "No, I hate you for entirely different reasons."
no,
Not for that.
no, I guess they're fine. It's mostly like the world and but whatever. That's
What-
not important.
We're gonna have a Bioshock Infinite debate episode, and it's me and Will against
10-year
Jacob.
anniversary. 2023.
All right. We got the best/most memorable gaming moment. What shocked and awed you this year? And what will you remember fondly or not as fondly? Got a couple. I'm not even going to say what it all is. Obviously, get spoilers. The new content in Stanley Parable is great and fun and all that kind of stuff. I like what they did with it. The last stretch of the story in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet could be pretty crazy and different.
Yeah, I want to like ruin your thing right now, but we gotta talk about that at some point. 'Cause I was like,
Yep.
I was expecting a little bit crazier when I finally got to the end.
And of course, my last one, getting all my friends killed in Dark Pixels Anthology, The Devil in Me.
No,
Whoa.
Some reason, my character had all the choices on who lived and died. It was
Jeff
ridiculous.
killed everyone.
One of them I will not take any fault for. It was stupid. And the most, I guess in this case, most memorable one for me is when in Digimon Survive, a Digimon just like straight up ate a kid and like crunched on him and blood splattered. It was pretty crazy.
Damn.
I was like, man, this game ain't for little kiddies.
Damn.
Went hardcore. It's like, yo, never seen that.
Mine's been, we've talked about it 1,000 times, so it's already kind of ruined. My best gaming moment was going to be the map expanding in Elden Ring, which is
Yeah, I was gonna put Elden Ring because so many of them we've talked about.
There's so many Elden Ring moments of just like us being on the Discord call and just crazy shit happening, or whatever, going down the waterfall and everything. I was trying to think of anything non-Elden Ring, and I have very little. I guess the only thing I'll think is like, I enjoyed the whole Guardians like fake out thing. Spoilers or whatever, but Guardians at the end when it starts like doing the credits and everything, it's like, yeah, the game's over, but then like the whatever big bad person whatever starts talking over the credits, and you're like, wait, what's going on? And then it's like, nope, it's not actually, it's like that was cute.
I totally don't remember this. What?
At the end of Guardians, it does like a fake out, like the game's over.
What's his face? Golden Boy.
Yeah,
I'm blanking. Adam
Warlock.
Warlock. That whole thing. Yeah, it's looking like you're done with the game. They do the walk, and then it's looking like it's the end of the game. Like I can't remember exactly the credits it happened or not, but you played more recently. Yeah, and then it's like he does I don't feel so good, and then
Okay.
yeah.
I thought it was
that final section.
It was cute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it
it
was very cute. Very cute. Very cute.
All right, what do y'all got?
Let's see. So, runner up. I kind of forgot that this game came out this year. I haven't talked about it at all, but I did play Modern Warfare 2 this year, which is fun. I actually really enjoy playing the campaigns for some Call of Duties.
So is that
And-
connected to the actual Modern Warfare 2 at all, or is it just
Like the
have
original?
yeah, it just have the same name?
It's kind of like a reboot, I guess.
Okay.
Or I mean, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare was a reboot of that universe, I guess. So a lot of the same characters.
Sequel
but-
I was always so confused. I was like, oh, so it's a remake, and they're like, it doesn't look like a remake. No, it's not a remake. Why does that have the same name?
yeah.
They like the
last
Modern
Call of
Warfare
Duty-
branding.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's terrible. The last Modern Warfare was a reboot of the Modern Warfare universe. So
They also did
you
this
still-
with Star Wars Battlefront. Like, there's already been a Star Wars Battlefront 2. You can't just do it. Like, yeah.
I mean, at the
terrible.
very least, I can understand like after being so long, and this goes for like both of them. Maybe so less Modern Warfare, I guess, but still maybe after a long time during the like Star Wars Battlefront, you named that the game.
Yeah, but
and
you
then you
can't
have
do
like
the
a different
sequel.
subtitle like
Yeah.
next time or something.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Yep.
to step on
like
your
God of
thing.
War and God of War
Very good.
Ragnarok.
yeah, so there y'all have played the original Modern Warfare 2, I imagine.
Nope, I have. But
Oh, okay. So very famous character Ghost with the skull on his baklava or whatever. He is in this rebooted version too, and he's a way more important character. But his whole stick is that he never takes off his mask. But there is one moment in Modern Warfare 2, and this isn't really a spoiler, you don't see the face still, but he takes it off in this very BA moment near the end of the game, and it's just kind of rah, very cool. But my most memorable moment is from God of War Ragnarok, and I will try not to spoil too much. It's a side mission. It's not really that big of a deal, but in one of your realms that you travel to, you're trying to free this entrapped monster, and you free it. Well, I should say this: the whole time, Atreus is kind of like, "Why are you doing this with me, Father? Like, why do you want to do this? You never really care about stuff like this before." And the whole time, Kratos is like, "No, let's go figure out what this is." And it seems kind of out of character for him. And at the very end, once you release the creature, Atreus is like, "You didn't have to do this for me, right? Like, you don't have to try to cheer me up." And what's his name? The head.
Mimir.
Yeah.
Mimir.
Mimir, yeah.
Fake
Mimir says something along the lines of, "Listen, don't you think he just like wants to spend time with you?" And that line just like crushed me. That's just something that my dad used to tell me all the time, like whether he was going to Lowe's or just like running errands or whatever. He's like, "You want to come with? Like, I just want to hang out with you." And just that idea was just really endearing to me. So that's my most memorable moment.
That's so sweet.
What a side quest I actually did.
My runner for favorite moment is what we said before, getting transported to Caelid in Elden Ring. But my favorite moment is I don't want to spoil anything. It's not like a huge spoiler, but it's just like when things start to get weird in Immortality.
I think I already got there.
Yeah, it's because I went into Immortality knowing nothing. I completely avoided any spoilers. But it's just the realization of like, what the fuck is going on here, and then just trying to figure that out, and eventually, like, later on, kind of like the pieces all fall into place, and you realize what's going on, and then you kind of get like that footage that kind of confirms what you're thinking, and it's amazing. But definitely the first time it happened, like I didn't even have like really full control. I'm not sure if it's the game or like I was inept at the controls. Again, I don't know how this game works, but like I couldn't like really focus in on what I thought was like the weird thing happening. So I was just kind of like slowing down the footage and going back and forth and like staring at my screen and being like, what the fuck is that? And the scene that it happened in is very great. I don't want to spoil anything. Maybe we could talk about it later, you and I, Jeff. But it was just the most. I think it's like the best scene where it could have happened. I'll just say that. But yeah, just when things start to go awry and immortality is great.
I want to play this game now. I might have to.
I need to go ahead and make that like my next thing. Just go ahead and get it out of the way.
My yearly list of games that Jacob recommends.
Yeah,
every year. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I played this game in one sitting.
It's commitment. 8 hours.
Yeah. May get some playtime into that tomorrow.
All right, Jeff, we gotta get to you and your probably 20 games on your list, and we obviously
got one thing real quick. I'll make this quick.
Okay.
The halftime, which don't worry, this is not literally halfway through.
Oh God.
We got three more hours.
Darby and I have something to settle, and that is dumb bets.
Oh shit!
A while ago, I was like, "Okay, Darby, I got some dumb bets I come up with for like from now to the end of the year. Let's see what you got right."
Oh God, how dumb was I?
All right, got 10 bets here. We'll go through them snappy. First one. And I got a time code here. Feel free to skip because there are going, and let me know if you guys care. There are spoilers here for God of War, Goat Simulator 3, and Gotham Knights.
Gotta go
I
ahead.
care about the spoiler for Gotham Knight, so just let me know about that one.
All right.
I can't handle Goat Simulator. Not having the spoilers, Jeff.
Nope. 1. Will Kratos die in God of War Ragnarok?
Oh fuck.
Darby said yes. Okay, real quick. Anyone care?
I'd say that, but it's fine.
Go ahead.
No, he does not.
The
I
boy
was gonna make
lives.
that one of my biggest surprises.
The man lives.
Yeah. Which Pokemon starter final evolution in Scarlet and Violet will be my Jeff Mayo's favorite? Darby said Quaxley.
Yeah, I remember you saying this before. Why did I say that?
I have no idea. But of course, it's the good boy Frey Coco.
He's statistically speaking no one's favorite.
Yep.
I mean, he's
The
fine.
numbers don't lie.
Will we go to the moon and or hell in Ghost Simulator 3? Darby said yes. From what I could tell, the answer is no.
Lame.
You summon a demon and you apparently went to the moon in Ghost Simulator 1, which I did say at the time I did not know if it happened in a previous
No,
game.
no knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, Darby's over
safe
3
bet.
right now.
Thought it was a safe bet.
Yikes.
Unfortunate timing as far as this question goes. In High on Life, will Justin Roiland play more or less than half the weapons?
He's not gonna be playing anymore.
No. Darby said more. It is less. He only plays 1. Restraint. 5. Will they? This is the Gotham Knights one.
All right, 1 second. You're good.
Okay. Will they wait until close to the end of Gotham Knights to confirm Bruce Wayne is alive? Darby said, actually dead. The correct answer is technically actually dead, but do you?
There you go.
Yeah,
I
I assume you did. I assume you did. No. But he gets resurrected and then dies again.
But he was dead. He
That's
was
hilarious.
Yeah.
in the thing.
Technicality.
Yes. All right.
Hey, Will, we're gonna play Suicide Squad.
Am I going to?
Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, probably because
Alright.
I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play with us?
If you're
Are
playing,
we gonna
absolutely.
co-op it?
It's Kevin Conroy's last game or last thing is Batman. I have to. On
Yeah,
principle.
it's almost unfortunate because I'm not so positive it's going to be good.
I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
I guess
Really?
let me rephrase that. I have no reason to feel like bad about it at this point, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I'm also wrong. There's actually spoilers for Mario plus Rabbids, so I didn't say so. Sorry. Is Rosalina gonna be controlled by the bad person in Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope? Dari said yes, that absolutely happened. It was the most obvious question on here.
Thank you for that.
Will
I have 2 dubs.
Skull and Bones open critic score be above or below 60?
Not applicable.
Not applicable,
right.
not
That's
out
right.
yet.
Not applicable.
Okay.
It might never be out at this rate.
I mean,
It legally has to be.
War will happen if it does not come out.
Yeah.
war, Jacob.
The Norwegian
World War
government
III.
sues Ubisoft. I can't. I don't know. No way. I can't remember what country.
I have to say, if World War III has to happen, that's the way I want. That's the reason. That's the inciting event.
All right. Number 8. Right before we do our end of the year special, I did this earlier today. I will check the 10 most recent reviews for Sonic Frontiers on OpenCritic. How many times will I see the phrase "Shadow of the Colossus"? And I gave Darby within 1. No, Will. Shadow of the Colossus was talked about like comparing it a lot before it came out.
Wow.
It was a weird time.
Yeah. Darby said 6. The answer, 1, maybe 2.
No,
They were good. There was one review that straight up said it, and I was going to give you this no matter what. It was one of the early ones. One of the taglines was "Sonic of the Colossus." I counted that. So you got 2. So you did not get that one. Great. All right, another one. Right before we do our end of the year special, I will go on to DeviantArt.
Oh Lord.
Which of the new Overwatch 2 heroes will have the most art? Sojourn, Junker Queen, or Kiriko?
Wait, can we guess?
You are welcome to guess.
Please.
Junker Queen.
What I was gonna say.
All
I
right.
think I also said Junker Queen.
So
we all like our muscular women.
Before I say
Muscular women.
anything, I guess since you all made the bet, I'll ask y'all what y'all think. Should I give you the answer, because it does change based on this? Just me typing their name or their name with Overwatch at the end?
I mean, I can't even think of any other character that would be called Junker Queen, Sojourn, or Kiriko. So I don't think you have to type Overwatch at the end.
All right.
I think. I mean, if there was another character by any of these names that was popular, then I would be like maybe not. But I think you just typing the name.
Okay.
I agree.
Well, I asked that just for the sake of fairness, but it turns out either way, y'all are all wrong. Because this is with just their name: Sojourn 15.3K, Junker Queen 8.7K, Kiriko 13.8K. The reason I asked, Sojourn won that one. The reason I asked, because when I typed into Sojourn, there was no actual Sojourn. There's a bunch of other random bullshit. Because Sojourn actually has other meanings and shit, and Kiriko is a name for other characters. It was a lot of just normal Kiriko, but there was some other stuff there. When I typed in them plus Overwatch, it was really close.
Then
Sojourn 8.1K, Junker Queen 8.2K, Kiriko 8.6K.
Okay, so we still would have lost.
Yeah.
Still would have lost.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine then. But so okay, maybe we did need to type it in. So actually, it sounds like maybe Kiriko is.
Wasn't planning on it until I noticed the difference in Sojourn. That's who I typed in first. And final one: how many racers will be in Paw Patrol Grand Prix within 1?
You know, I have this on lock.
You said 10. Do y'all have a guess? You said 6?
I have
Going
no
low.
idea.
I'll say 6. Sure.
All right.
15.
The answer is 11. Darby got it.
Hey, I know
in
Paw
one.
Patrol. The twins are so obsessed with it. I ought to know it at this point.
So the way it worked, Darby got 3 out of the 9 applicable ones right. You fail.
Great. What
On that note,
Okay, I think for the sake of just fluidity, what we'll do is we'll take turns going over our list, since we all have varying degrees of knowledge.
And we've talked about all the games. I don't think we need
Yeah.
to talk about it. Just list them off. And if we get to if there's all like, oh whoa, this is above that, we can talk about that. But as far as talking about the games, I think you're
I agree.
yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I mean,
Take it away, Jeff.
Yeah,
right.
you're the one that actually has like a list. I'll just like mention the handful of games that I haven't mentioned very quickly. But
Alrighty, let me see.
Elden Ring's number 1. That's all that matters.
All right, here are my top 15. Number 15, Multiverses. Very fun. Just wish I played it more. Like to play with the friends.
LeBron James.
Number 14, The Quarry. Fun, good, jolly times.
It was.
Yep. Number 13, Splatoon 3. Fun, just haven't really played it enough. I'm about to beat the campaign, which is my favorite part of those games anyway. Very good, but felt weird placing it really high, so that's where we're at. 12, Vampire Survivors. This low kind of similar to Splatoon, where it's just, I need to play. I want to play more of it because there is kind of an ending. 11, God of War Ragnarok.
We got a Will. It's at 11, right beside Vampire Survivors, where everyone predicted it to be.
Number 10, Cult of the Lamb. Great game. 9, Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Number 8, AI, The Somnium Files, Nirvana Initiative.
Oh, yeah.
Number 7, Digimon Survive. Number 6, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Number 5, Pokemon Scarlet. Number 4, The Stanley Parable, Ultra Deluxe. Number 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Nice. Number
2, Elden Ring. Now, this is a weird one where I'll just kind of say, I did not finish the game. The chance it could be bumped to number 1 if I finished, but, I need to go back to that game.
Fair enough.
And number 1, to surprise absolutely no one, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Yeah,
Absolutely. No surprise. I mean,
a very Jeff list, I feel.
it's very jealous. I'm glad the Elden Ring was even number 2.
I mean, it's one of those games where anyone saying like it's like one of not the greatest game of all time, I'm never going to argue it. And again, once I finish it, I'll probably be more inclined to agree. I mean, I kind of do now, but yeah.
The only one that like somewhat surprised me, not now at this point, I knew it wasn't a surprise, but when I was playing Pokemon Scarlet, I wouldn't have thought in that moment that it would be under Arceus or whatever. So like until you started talking about it, I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, I really thought about that one, but it's just maybe I'll feel more with Scarlet as time kind of goes on. Maybe it's part of it, it feels fresh, but man, I still think about Arceus a year later. It's just just what it did differently for the rest of the franchise is just so good, and yeah, I mean, it arguably could be my favorite Pokemon game now. I don't know.
That's fair. So, or do you have more things?
Nope, that is it. I will just type for time code's sake Darby's list.
Hey, it's not much.
Yeah.
And I haven't really ordered it outside of Elden Ring's obviously number 1 this year. Which I guess for the three big games from this year that I'm actually even like having on here is Elden Ring, Pokemon Scarlet, and Overwatch 2. Elden Ring is obviously number 1. I think Overwatch 2 is number 2, but Overwatch, it's a weird thing because it's so much the game from before or whatever. But I do really like the changes, the 5v5, the maps are like so much. But I mean, I'm having more fun playing Overwatch now than I have in a long time, and I can play like by myself a ton, and it's like.
But Darby's the only one, am I right?
A ton of fun. Only one in the world. So I think it's my number 2, and then the Pokemon Scarlet is my number 3. So those are the big 3. I have the Quarry was also very good, but those, whatever. That's the top 3. The Quarry in any normal year would be further down the list. But I would say the Quarry I obviously had a very, very good time with. I think it's like one of the better supermassive games outside of Until Dawn.
Devil in Me number 5, right?
Yeah. But it was still fun.
Is there something terrible about the water in that game?
Yes, actually, yes. I mean, it's
funny you bring that up.
It's one of those that's so terrible that it's kind of a feature. It was a very memorable, funny moment. I'm glad the water is as bad as it is because
I've seen numerous Switch like exclusives for much better water. It's weird.
God, yeah,
it's crazy.
And they like decide to jump in the water, have a whole scene of jumping in the water when their water physics is like a static image of water going up and down.
JPEG.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it's a special type of thing.
Jacob lived through the Quarry.
I googled the quarry water and I just got Google images of water in like real life quarries. God damn.
Accurate.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I'll just mention Dragon Quest 11, played a lot of that, and obviously had a very good time with that this year. Honestly, I was looking at here, and it was like do you want to know what the only game we haven't talked about that I have to speak on here? Planet Zoo.
Oh yeah.
There was like a weekend where I got obsessed with this game called Planet Zoo that's basically just a modern zoo tycoon, but with like all kind of crazy shit in it. It was very nice. It was a very nice charming time or whatever designing a zoo, and I will definitely go back to it because it was a lot of fun. Citizen Sleeper I need to get to. Immortality I need to get to. So I haven't played any of Immortality. I haven't played enough of Citizen Sleeper, and we've basically talked about the rest of them.
I will say, so if you make a
Guardians.
mental note, another one that Jacob's been playing, I know you would also really like Pentiment. I think.
Yes.
I also want to play that.
It's not from this year, but I
pretty
also
good.
want to play Inscription. That's also very high up on the list.
Yes. Would recommend.
Yes. But Elden Ring above all. Let's go.
Except Xenoblade 3. Let's go.
I'll just say my top 5 real quick, and then the other 3 games I played this year, 8 total. Yeah, God of War is gonna be the top for me. Elden Ring right below that, just because I didn't finish it. Like I said, I played around 35 hours. In hindsight, I wish I would have just finished it on out. But maybe I can get back to it. 3, Marvel Snap, too addicting. I'm sorry. 4, Modern Warfare 2. 5, Aperture Test Lab was just a really fun entry point back into the Portal universe, which I really didn't think we'd see ever again. So kind of fun. And then the other 3 games that I played this year, I guess honorable mentions: Vampire Survivors, dishonorable mention, Horizon Forbidden West, and just the game I played, FIFA 2022.
I do want to say, unless it makes a shocking appearance on Jacob's list, I don't think we're a real media outlet because we don't have Stray. Anyway,
Yeah, no. Didn't play straight.
Indie game of the year.
I was shocked to see like even GDC has it tied for the most noms with Elden Ring.
I know, right? Like,
Why?
all right,
Why are
y'all
people so
love the
obsessed with this cat?
People love
I mean,
cats.
yeah.
Cats are cute. Oh, damn.
All right. Stop me if you want me to talk about any of these games. So when I said I had a very tight top 10, it's because I only played 10 games from 2022.
Let's go.
So number 10 is Bloodborne, PSX.
Oh wait, is this the
the demake?
the
The
demake?
The
Ooh,
demake.
sorry, I know I'm making you stop at the very first one, but I actually do
Sure.
want to hear about this. Yes.
Yeah, it's fucking good. Who knew that Bloodborne, a fantastic game, would also be fantastic as a PlayStation 1 game? Yeah, I mean, they kind of like jankify it a little bit to like make it feel like that's how a Bloodborne would play on a PlayStation 1, but I think it's good. And there's lots of like fun twists and some like, fan fiction for this that it's like really good. And honestly, like hell, I wish that was in like the base game or like the real Bloodborne.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So I
super
mean,
good.
does it feels like a PS1 game? I mean, it feels like when you're moving around and is it very basic because of that, or is it?
No, so the full moveset is there, but there's just some tricks and some quirks to make it a little more, retro. So you move the camera by using the triggers, so that pans the camera left or right. You can still lock on, and that does take a little while to get used to, but it's not. I didn't think it was like too much of like a hurdle to get over.
No.
And then you unlock the ability to like, because there's trick weapons in Bloodborne, so you press a button and it switches like the style of weapon it is. You unlock that later, and you have to kind of like go into a menu to like change your weapon to its alternative version. But like it's very fast and snappy. It's not a big deal. And just like a few other like changes too. Like you don't have like an inventory for like blood vials, like small little changes that I think make the game in its short runtime kind of like worth it. I didn't have a
How
problem
long
with
is
it.
it?
It took me about like 4 hours. It's
So
like
it's just one part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, so it's just the first section of Bloodborne up until you beat Father Gascoigne. So it's all of Central Yarnum, and then after Father Gascoigne, there's some original content that's really good.
Okay.
So should this be my first time playing Bloodborne? Should be Bloodborne PSX.
You've never played Bloodborne?
I have not. Elden Ring was my first
Really?
FromSoft game. I thought I was not a
Wow.
FromSoft person until this.
It's free, so I mean, go for it. Like
I own Bloodborne. I got it on PlayStation a long ass time ago. I'm gonna play it.
You
Right.
really should if you liked Elden Ring. I mean,
Yeah, it's the next one.
But Jacob, when is Bloodborne cart? I know that's coming.
yeah, that's also
Please.
coming. It's like,
That's
stay
legit.
tuned.
Please, I want.
Yeah.
Need it.
But yeah, clearly, like the person who did this like demake has a lot of love for Bloodborne, like I do. Like, there's a lot of fun details, and there's definitely I got a lot out of being like, oh hey, I remember this thing, or just being able to like know the layout of this zone in Bloodborne in a PlayStation 1 kind of context was really cool. So yeah. My number 9 is Card Shark. Really cool game. It just didn't really hit at like when I needed it to. Like it would just what it was asking of me is not really. I didn't have time for that. So that's why it's at number 9, but still really good. Number 8 is a game called Growing My Grandpa.
Well, I'm sorry. I must ask about
All right.
my grandpa.
So Growing My Grandpa with an exclamation point is it is a indie like narrative horror adventure game where
you can just say it's porn, Jacob. It's fine.
yeah, okay. Listen, Grandpa grows in funny ways. It's gonna sound real bad once I keep explaining what this game is about.
Oh my.
So it's this little girl who goes into her family's basement, and there's this thing down there that she has decided is her grandpa, and she feeds
Oh
it
my
things.
gosh.
Yeah, she feeds it things like rotten bananas and fiberglass. Listen,
Holy shit!
some grandpas are grown, not made.
I was not expecting this.
True.
It's really good. Number 7 is a game called Iron Lung, which is another short horror game. I think it's from the makers of Dusk. So, and now 6 through 1 is where it gets really tight. So number 6 is Citizen Sleeper. Number 5 is Norco. Number 4 is Immortality. And so here's the thing. My list is going to be incomplete because I can't really choose between these top 3 games, and I haven't finished one of them, and I really want to finish that one before I decide what my top 3 are. So currently, it is a 3-way battle between Pentiment, Signalis, and Elden Ring. And once I beat Pentiment and I think about it, I think I'll definitely like formally rank them on like a blog post or something.
Well, I think it says a lot about where Pentiment's going, because that's one of those games I played for an hour. Considering you're stuck between it, not finished, and Elden Ring and
Yes.
Signalis, which is your jam to a T.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked that Elden Ring's not just an obvious number 1. I thought Signalis would probably be the only one that would be like maybe fighting for it, but
Pentiment's real good, and I really want to see how it ends. And yeah, Signalis is like, I think that game was like made for me. It's like Jacob bait, but it's
So I was like,
good.
oh yeah, Jacob will talk about that at the end of the year.
Oh yeah. Like I'll put it this way: like I am trying to finish Pentiment, but I also want to go back and play more Signalis. So, yeah, really good.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of those. I honestly like Citizen Sleeper, all the way through Elden Ring are just really fantastic. Like they just blow out like any other year. Like last year, like I think these games would be all top contenders as well. They're just they're all really good. So it really, I didn't play a lot of games, but the few games that I did play were phenomenal, and it's a really packed list.
no, like Will said, it's every year. It's like, okay, take your notes out. It's a good thing we record this so that we can hear all of the game recommendations from Jacob. I was still like, I was half listening to you at the end there because I was just looking at growing my grandpa pictures and getting progressively horrified.
was also
The
looking
more
at
I
it.
Yeah,
looked at it,
yeah.
I was like,
I saw that and I was just like, all right, I need. What the fuck is this?
oh Lord, oh gosh, yeah, I'm seeing some of the motion.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you like Cronenberg-esque horror, yeah, Growing My Grandpa's real good for that.
Oh boy. Well, any parting thoughts on 2022, everyone?
I think it was a solid year for games. I mean, not as many big ones as other years, but I mean, I think all the indies that I played that came out were like phenomenal. And there's Elden Ring, of course.
Yeah, I think overall really good year for games, and there are a lot I have not played that I really want to. All the ones you've listed, Jacob, and there are other ones that I've dipped my toe into and want to. Banger year for indies.
Yeah.
Of all different kinds.
Yeah, and there's some other ones that I didn't get to.
Like
that
Neon
was
White
probably-
that none of us played. I know is one that people love. Tunic and all
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Well, guys, sorry I said that I thought it was going to be a shorter one, and it was not. I should have known, but very good
Never.
time.
I realized that when the character thing took 20, their favorite character took 20 minutes.
Yeah. Is what it is, but
I think that happens every year where the first couple ones were always like, okay, this probably gonna go pretty well. Then the first couple categories take a decently long time. And it
Well,
then it's not
it's
that
all-
we like try to speed up necessarily. It's just the first ones are always the one that has the most conversation.
Well, it's the ones that we're all trying to talk about the games we want to talk about, and by the end, we've talked
Yeah.
about all the games we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So we just go quick. The
Yeah.
beginning gets long.
oh well, it's still fun. It's a very, very good time. So that's 2022.
Yeah. Looking forward to 2023, which is already starting out with some bangers.
We
Dead
just
Space is out. We got that
Yeah.
downloaded now.
very excited to play Dead Space. Hell yeah,
Too.
very excited.
Hi-Fi Rush.
Well, we will have these guys back on maybe in the summer for another big group thing, and for any other time that they want to come, obviously. But we will
Look
be
forward
hanging
to
out.
our favorite weapon tournament at some point.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting.
That's my legacy
I
on
don't
this
even
podcast.
remember. I don't even remember my other choices, to be honest.
I don't either. I just
Dude,
assumed
I'm
Blood
gonna
was
lose
sort
if
of
I
this
get
one.
garlic.
Okay, guys, just go ahead and can we agree on? I'll do the work. You guys don't go back and look.
You got it,
just,
Chief.
just for the sake of the surprise.
You got it.
Sure.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Till next time. Peace.
Bye.